For this very important game between Burnie and Sandy Bay. Both teams are fired up. The 4 points here, absolutely vital. There has been one late change to the Burnie side. The captain coach, Michael Schulze, has been a late withdrawal because of a knee problem. He hasn't been able to come up after last week's game, so that's bad luck for the Burnie Hawks. But earlier today I spoke with both coaches, Michael Schulze of Burnie and Chris Fagan with Sandy Bay.
Hopefully a bigger win than last week, 23 points, but any win would do me fine, exactly.
You got any special plans for today as opposed to last week?
We've got a couple of different plans. Yeah, we've got a couple of fellas we have to man up from their side, and they've probably got the same thing from our side as well. Some of our prime movers. So we'll just see how things progress and work it out from there.
Well, we'll find out in about 2.5 hours' time. But so far, our preparation for this week's game couldn't have been better. The boys realised that, you know, last week was only one win. It's now part of history, and you can't do much about history. And we're just living for the present and looking forward to the next couple of hours of contest.
Well, with me this afternoon, Gary Davidson and Jim Wilkinson. And, fellas, should be a great game.
Will be a great game, and it'll be very interesting to see how Sandy Bay perform on their home ground after playing so well on the big expanses of Boyer last week. And so that's the aspect of the game that I'll be taking interest in today, Rob.
OK, Jim, well, let's have a look at both teams' lineups and see how they do line up. A few changes. We understand Waterworth's out of the Sandy Bay team, Jim.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise, Rob, because everybody expected him to play today, but because of some administrative problem, unfortunately, he's not playing, but that'll allow Jeff Wiggins to come in and play his first game for Sandy Bay, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him play today because he's come with a big reputation. And
a quick look at the Burnie lineup, and out of the team, Schulze.
Yes, out of the team, Schulze, but I suppose that's going to be offset by the inclusion of Paul Atkins, who was delisted by the Sydney Swans, and you can see Atkins has been named in the centre, and he'll be a very, very important player, not only because he wins the ball so well, but he uses it so effectively to other teammates.
OK, well, both teams are on the field. We're just waiting for the umpire to get the siren to bounce the ball. And let's go down to Peter Chesnell. Chesner, how are you going down there this afternoon?
Well, Rob, at ground level, the ground's looking absolutely magnificent down here, and they should be congratulated, the Bay, for their presentation on here. Umpires today, guys, are Brendan Griggs and Smokey Dawson again, of course. We're expecting fairly warm conditions. It's rather cool down here at the moment, but it's going to remain fine. We're expecting 26 degrees, so I think it's going to be a great game of footy here today. There's a lot of young players on the ground. I'm going for Sandy Bay, and I think that they will win today, but we've got a couple of hours of pretty exciting stuff coming up. I think this is going to be a great game of footy between two unbeaten sides at this stage. I'll pan back to you guys, and I'll see you a little later on in the game.
Thanks, Peter. Peter Chesnell on the boundary line. So we're just about ready to get things underway here. In one word, Jim, Sandy Bay or Burnie?
Sandy Bay.
Gary?
Burnie Hawks for me.
And Sandy Bay for me. So we're about to get underway here at Queenborough in this game between Burnie and Sandy Bay. Coffey and also Wiggins, the new player, just got his clearance. Won't he be fired up, having won his long battle with North Hobart, I suppose, Jim, but gee, it'll be a real acquisition for the Sandy Bay Footy Club.
Yeah, they put him straight onto the ball as well, which will be good because he'd be wanting to get into the play fairly early. Lost that tap to Coffey. Here goes Wish Wilson on his left boot down to the full forward zone. He's looking for Honor. Over the back, though, there's a couple of Bay defenders, and that fence very close indeed. And we saw then just bundled into the fence was Merton, and we'll see a throw in right in front of us here, midway between forward pocket and half forward flank. Tap again won by Weller this time. Chance for the Burnie Hawks to go forward through Dick. Dick's long kick for goal. Tommy Honor couldn't grab the ball at the last minute. There's Honor there on your screen. Would have been a golden opportunity for Tom to kick his first one, Davo, but the first score of the day.
Yeah, some good defensive pressure there from the Sandy Bay defence.
So the kick in out towards the back flank. Jackson looking for a kick. He might get the opportunity here. Those forced to handball it away, and I think the ball's just beaten Burberry there. So boundary throw in, and we'll keep an eye on the Honor Peter Giles battle. Giles, the ex-Melbourne player, down at fullback on Tom Honor, who's back with Burnie after a season in the NTFL. Bit scrambly, bit messy in the opening. And just to the left of screen there, number 1 this year is Atkins, and he looks fit, Gary.
Well, they tell me that he's lost something like 10 to 12 kilos, which is an extraordinary effort. We knew that he was carrying too much last year. It'll be interesting to see how he carries it in 1993.
We should tell the secret. Over to you, Jim.
So the underweight Rob Waters just hands it over as the ball down to the half-forward line. Chance for Sandy Bay, then coming through was Pulverman. That was Richard Pulverman. Knocked it out to Metcalf. Metcalf on the left boot to McGregor. The big fella takes the mark. Well, he kicked 6 last week. It'll be interesting to see how many are beside number 19's name at the end of the day. You can see the scoreboard. Burnie Hawks, solitary point. The Bay yet to score. McGregor has been having a player with a lot of promise over the years. Hasn't really put it together for the whole season yet. And the first score of the day, a minor score. But he's a player, Davo, who really does show a lot, doesn't he? But he's got to put it together a bit more. Yes, I think he's lacked a little direction in the past, and I would think that Chris Fagan would be doing a lot of work on young Michael McGregor, because he can be the outstanding full forward in the Sandy Bay side.
A good long kick, still yet to see a goal here at Queenborough. And Mark Watterson, will he get a free kick? Yep. Getting up a bit gingerly. But number 23 for the Bay. Big long left foot kick, looking for McGregor again. He's up high and he's got it. Well, I think the last time we saw McGregor play here was against Glenorchy last year in a game between two of the bottom clubs in the competition. McGregor kicked about 2 or 3 in the first quarter and then got flattened and was out for a long, long time with an injury. But there's no doubt about his exciting capabilities. Mick McGregor, he's a very, very promising player. As if he's put in a bit of work over the off-season, and he's kicked the first goal of the match here. So good goal then from McGregor. Nice high leap, and Sandy Bay on the board.
Well, importantly, they left a bit of space for him to lead into, and he used, like Webster, to get up and take the mark. Didn't hold it long enough for mine, but nonetheless, he's got the goal next to his name, and really Sandy Bay could do worse than keep that forward line open so that he can lead into the spaces and be the leading target at full forward, because he is capable, as Jim Wilkinson rightly said, of kicking 6 or 7 goals for this game.
Well, number 1 already on his belt as the knockdown to Coffey. Well, big punch then from Sandy Bay's player. Can't pick him up at the moment. Appeared to be Pulverman. Kicks down towards half forward. Mark taken in defence by Bourne. Alistair Bourne elects the drop punt kick going to Atkins. Atkins 1993 model. Handballs over the top to Viney. Another handball comes out to centre wing position. The race is on. Escorting it over the line's Merton. Merton doing battle in. Running it over the line was Rawlings on the screen now. We'll see a throw in. 5 minutes gone. The Bay 7, Burnie 1. Wiggins in front. Here goes Benny. Played a great game last week. Decides to centre it to Honor. Good play from Benny. And Big Tom takes his first.
Excellent centre, and that just shows the sort of head that Robert Benny has on his shoulders. Most players would have blazed away at the goals, but he had the presence of mind to look up and spot Honor leading out from the top of the goal square.
This fellow looks like he shed a few kilos over the summer break as well. Tom Honor kicks for goal, and that's the answering one. So this game has really the foundation to be a good one. 7 apiece, both full forwards with a goal beside their name.
Yes, well, he's capable of kicking goals in this competition. Certainly a 60-goal forward if they get the ball to him quickly, and as well as they did on that occasion. And he'd be the focal point that Michael Schulze would be looking for up forward. And really, when you look at the Burnie Hawks the forward line, they've got Guy Gray in the pocket next to Honor to clean up everything that comes to the ground level. And David Giles is a very, very dangerous half forward when he's on his mettle.
Back in the middle, and here's Coffey sending the Burnie Hawks forward, and there's a real opportunity for them here. Lee Heath from about 40 can head for home, and he's kicked another one for the Hawks. And the value of getting it out of the middle, Heath's very happy, and why shouldn't he be? Is the Burnie lead now by a goal?
And the majority of players went to Ian Coffey at the centre square because he was the man that bullocked his way through, threw it onto the boot and to get it out, because Heath was very lucky that he let his man run in and he stayed back. Had his man got the ball, I'm sure Michael Schulze wouldn't have been too happy, but on this occasion, he ended up with the ball and was able to kick the goal, but certainly all credit to Ian Coffey for blasting the ball out of the centre square.
The goal, the difference, umpire Griggs with the ball. It's Brendan Griggs. Puts the ball on the turf. Coffey again against Wiggins. Wiggins, perfect tap to Burnell. Cutting it off, though, was Atkins. He's calling for it. Wish Wilson's in there. Picks up now. Handball, a short one to Jackson. Jackson's kick right up in the air and Newton takes the mark. He's a player that Sandy Bay expect a lot from this year, Robbie Newton. Injured for the majority of last year after playing a couple of great games. Kick straight down to centre half forward. McGregor's the target. Look at the Burnie Hawks though, they're everywhere. Wish Wilson to Atkins. Quick hands, get the ball across then to Bourne. Bourne in turn to centre wing to Taylor. Taylor to Jackson, back comes Taylor. Benny can go over the top. Oh, keeping it in front of him well. He sizes up the goals, kicks from about 50, but you can see the goal umpire. That told the story, and the minor score to the Hawks.
Best on the ground last week, they say, from West Park in the game against South Launceston, and starting to continue that good form into this first quarter.
Gee, they've recruited well, haven't they? A lot of new faces already prominent in this Burnie team, but one of the old hands here, Robert Benny, smothers the ball after a poor kick. He's crashed into the fence there, and I think he's going to get a free kick. Robert Benny on the half-forward line. He's been instrumental in a couple of good things. In towards full forward. No one at home for the Burnie Hawks, and Big Wiggins covering plenty of territory, mops up.
It was Metcalf on his left boot, kicks out to the half-back line, looking for Strong. But there's Barney with his back to us, just pushed it over the line. Well, Justin Metcalf would be hoping for big things this year. Wiggins tap, a perfect one to Devenuto. Comes out now from Merton to Metcalf, back to Merton. Merton's going to have a kick. Left boot. Pulverman, Nigel's down there, but look at the pace of this fellow, Adam Pulverman. Number 35, runs like a hare. Hurley ran up like a startled rabbit then, Davo. He won the 220 or the 200 metres public school sprint last year, so he's got plenty of pace. And didn't he show it then, Adam Pulverman?
Showed a lot of courage too, running with the flight of the ball to mark the ball. Picked his spot, took off as soon as he'd marked the ball and left Alistair Bourne in his wake, but very creative little forward pocket player. Had a disappointing Teal Cup series, I might throw that one in, but when he came back, he knuckled down and got himself a senior game of football with Sandy Bay. Put in the pre-season. You can see the runner there, obviously giving him a pat on the back to congratulate him, both for showing the courage to mark the ball and then having the common sense to play on quickly and use his pace to good effect.
So both teams in the action here. Might be a high-scoring afternoon here at Queenborough. Wish Wilson takes it out of the centre, kicks to half-forward, and Guy Gray, wearing number 19 today, takes the mark. In the last couple of years, it's been Gray and Herring who have been the goal scorers for the Burnie Hawks. And Gray back in the senior team. Good TFL footballer, this fellow. And in he comes for their third. Bit of work for the goal umpire. I think he's missed it to the right. Yep. So they've had a few opportunities here, Burnie. Robert Benny really should have kicked a goal moments ago, and Gray should have snavelled that.
Becker has the kick in, but the ball's got to go back. There's a couple of footies on the ground. Full forward would have loved to forget about the one that was in Becker's hands and gone for the one behind the goal umpire. Coming back now to Becker, the man from the West Coast. Boris, they call him. He serves up this kick out to the half-back flank. Merton creating good position. On his left boot goes short to Devenuto. Peter Devenuto into the centre looking for Wiggins and finds him. Wiggy's the call and the handball comes across to Burberry. Burberry down in the McGregor direction. Strong marks. Well, the Bay are running and running well at the moment.
I think better footy than that, wouldn't you?
Importantly, they used good system to move the ball forward. You know, once Wiggins took the mark, there was a host of players going past. Perfect delivery to McGregor.
Big Michael McGregor, could it be number 2? Looks pretty good from here. It's his second and the Bay's third.
Well, it was great system. As I was saying, Wiggins took the mark and there were just so many players coming past wearing the Bay jumper. And, of course, Burberry was the one that got the hand pass, used his pace to good effect. And that open forward line of Sandy Bay was used to great effect by Michael McGregor. 2 goals won from 3 good leads, 3 good marks. So good start from McGregor. And obviously Michael Schulze needs to do something about clogging up that space that McGregor's leading into.
Good standard game here at Queenborough. Coffey tries to barge his way through, can't do it. Robbie Newton can't get a clean handle on it. Plenty of pressure in the middle. Soccer off the ground, puts Burnie about, right into the half-forward line. Guy Gray comes out, but he can't do much with it. So we've progressed into the Sandy Bay's half-forward line here at Queenborough. Wiggins doing some good work in the ruck, wins another tap out. Metcalf won't be able to keep it in. And a host of new faces here on both sides. Justin Metcalf across from New Norfolk for Sandy Bay. You've got Wiggins from North Hobart. David Fagan's playing. And a lot of other players as well. For Burnie, you've got, of course, David Giles and Nick Taylor from Clarence. Tom Honnor's back. So some exciting things ahead for maybe both these clubs. And it's been good footy so far. We're about 12 minutes into the first quarter. And Sandy Bay lead by a goal.
You can see Atkins, number 1. Burnie Hawks would be hoping for a big game from him. He's in the thick of things, but loses it. Robert Benny, he's had a couple of kicks today. Big high kick, forward's nightmare. And Guy Gray then, the forward doing the punching. 4 kicks to Robert Benny. So he's been amongst the action early. This game only about 13 minutes old. Weller to do the ruck work against Wiggins. Devenuto, 3 Bay people. They could have raffled it, but Weller came out with the footy down to full forward. Oh, Mark, a strong one to Gray.
Was a strong mark. He has very good hands for a small player, and I remember a few years ago kicked a lot of goals in a reserves grand final at North Hobart when Burnie Hawks were coached by Dick Lakeland in that winning reserves grand final team. Kicked a lot of goals that day. Would have expected Honor to go for the mark, but he held the players back so Gray could get in there and put his hands around the footy.
And for the second time today, that was his second mark, and this is his first goal. Right through the middle, the Hawks strike back. 21 playing 19.
Well, we saw only a few moments ago young Tim Burberry stream down the ground to set up the Michael McGregor's last goal, and of course that time he's got the job on Gray and been a little bit too loose for me. You see them there together in the picture, but really wasn't defensive enough to knock the arms down. He knew that he couldn't punch the ball away. The next best option was to punch the arms down so that he couldn't take the mark. And I suppose the message will be coming out from Chris Fagan very shortly to Tim Burberry.
Coffey off to Atkins, and here come the Burnie Hawks again. Gray's got another opportunity, and he's in front. And Mark will free kick. Take your choice. No, says the umpire. But it's going to Burnie and Nick Taylor, who's gone up to the Northwest Coast this year after his time at Clarence. He's not without a chance here at half forward. He's a pretty long kick. Very quick player. Taylor goes for the big torp. Don't I love this? And I think he's kicked a goal. Well, a Gary Davidson special, the big torpedo punt kick. And Burnie Hawks have kicked their fourth. And it sort of makes your mouth water, doesn't it, Gary? A big torp like that.
Terrific. I wonder what you would have said if he'd come wobbled off his boot and gone 15 metres towards the pack and top of the goal square. Rob, that's the amazing thing about your commentary. You're very good when they kick these big tops. Not my favourite kick from a forward, but certainly made most effective. It's a bit hard to tell how far he was out on this ground because they don't have the 50-metre line here today, but a good reward. He took the punt on it, pardon the pun, got a good goal.
Well, going high was Coffey. We'll cross down to Peter Chisnell on the boundary in a sec to see what he thinks at ground level.
Like those torpedoes, Chizza?
Magnificent kick, wasn't it? Big kick. I'd say it'd probably be about a 45-metre shot, but it was a big kick from here. But at ground level, both sides communicating very well. A lot of talk, and certainly going in hard for the ball at the moment. The Bay communicating well. A couple of their younger players running very well around the centre of the ground. But Chris Fagan's called on them, not only just to run into the forward line, he wants them to run back into defence as well. Thanks, guys.
Big punch from Atkins. Atkins out now to the, or the punch finds number 18. That's David Giles. Giles out to the half-forward line. Nick Taylor, is he going to do another torp? This time on his left boot. There's a free kick if ever there was one. And the player to take it for the Hawks is Dick. Dick to Gray. He's kept copped high as well. And you can see there Giles just having a word to the umpire saying, let me go on. I've got the goals in my sights. But so too, no doubt, is Guy Gray. He's got one goal, and he's copped one for his quarter around the neck as well. I think that beard of his has probably helped a bit, though, Rob Waters.
Keep going, Jim.
Kick from Gray. It's close. It's close. Not close enough. Minor score.
1 goal, 2 for Gray.
Yes, he's certainly giving Burberry a bit of something to worry about. Really should have finished that off. He wasn't all that far out.
Becker goes short and finds a teammate here in Peter Giles, the ex-Melbourne player. Well, the unheralded recruit, but gee, he had a pretty good career with the Demons in the AFL. Now the umpire's picked out a free kick here. It's going to the Hawks. So Viney, I think that is, to centre half forward. Not much on offer here for the Hawks, and the Bay might slap it away here. Out towards Becker. Good knock on. Becker goes wide towards Wiggins, and the big fellow who's showing a bit of mobility. He's been enjoying himself today, but he couldn't quite keep it in. Big Jeff Wiggins wants to play AFL footy. Has decided to make the move from North Hobart to Sandy Bay so he can play on the ruck. Now Sandy Bay move forward. Polfriman inboard to David Fagan. Fagan in towards the pocket looking for McGregor. 2 bites of the cherry, no. At ground level, the Bay might work something here. Wish Wilson's battling in there hard. Does it pretty well, Wish Wilson, against Coleman. But he's given away a free kick for a throw. And Coleman is taking the kick, and he's only 25 metres out from goal.
It was good pressure by Gray Coleman. They all ran to the fall of the ball with the contest with McGregor, and Wish Wilson won it at ground level, but terrific tackling pressure pushed him into the throw. Result free kick.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Shouldn't miss those.
You can see he's not too happy about it as well. Spent last year with Hutchins Old Boys, coached by his brother, ex-Glenorchy man, Dean Coleman. He wouldn't have been too happy about that kick. Paul Atkins kicks out Lambert Avenue side of the ground. Free kick to Coffey. He keeps on keeping on Ian Coffey, doesn't he? Always plays well to Wish Wilson. Wish Wilson's kick, not a good one. Burnell marks. Goes on with it straight away in the Polfram and Devanuto direction. Chance for Metcalf to run onto the footy. He's tackled well, though, by Rawlings. And there's a free kick too to Sandy Bay. Rushing for it's Richard Polfram. And he'll be about 55, 60 metres from goal. Just sizing up where to kick to. Centres it, looking for McGregor. Kick goes over the top of him. A couple of Burnie Hawks raffled it then. Satori, that is, gets it over to Heath. Heath on his left boot. That's his favoured kicking foot. Kicks down towards Giles. Boundary line too close. We'll see another throw in centre wing. 28 playing 20. Burnie Hawks in the lead by that 8-point margin at the 20-minute mark.
It's been a good game, this. Both teams look very, very competitive this year. Fagan over the top. Burnell couldn't get a clean handle on him. Atkins forced to handball away. Comes to Nigel Polfram, back from the Brisbane Bears. What a pick-up he'll be. Atkins now has it on the half-forward line. He'll look to centre this. Honnor's his best bet. Up at full forward, he was bustled out of it. And Sandy Bay, they might lose it here. The clever Giles snaps on the left boot. It was good, but not good enough. And David Giles, the ex-Clarence player, didn't hook it back enough. But both teams have had many, many scoring opportunities here.
Wiggins calls to Boris, and that's where he delivers it. Out in the Wiggins direction. Burberry, though, picks up and just deftly gets it across to Burnell. He's got to kick it too slow. Rawlings, good tackle. Benny handballs over there. A couple of players running into each other. Back to Benny, over to Rawlings. He can ferry it over to Giles. Giles on his right boot looking for Gray. He just couldn't get there.
Great tackling by young Rawlings on that occasion. He put a tackle on down in their defensive area, and of course he really ran Burnell down on that occasion. But poor lead from both Gray and Honor leading into that dead forward pocket.
Honor wins the tap, but they lose it. The hand pass from Travis Dick wasn't flash, and bit the Bay up towards the wing. Wiggins in front, uses his bulk effectively. Off to Metcalf. Short little kick, doesn't really work to their favour, and Lee Heath drops back and takes a mark. Oh, yes, he drew the man in the end. Gets it off to his teammate here in Scott Walker. Walker up to the half-forward line. No one at home for Burnie. The Bay defence stands firm. Polfram covering plenty of territory. Gets it off to Becker, and they transfer it around towards the grandstand side. And David Fagan backs back and takes a pretty good mark. With a family affair here with the Fagans now at Sandy Bay. He'll get another chance after the kick was smothered, and it might work effectively for them as Polfram goes over the top. And the Bay moving forward very, very well. Younger, and it's up towards the half-forward line. McGregor out of position there, though, and dropping back and taking a good mark for Burnie was Satori.
Satori quickly gets it to Heath, and Heath takes the mark. And wants the player to go back on the mark. That was Palfreman. Kicks long to centre wing. Oh, quick kick then from Strong. Down to Palfreman and Heath, who takes the mark. The man in your screen, Lee Heath. It's his third mark, playing a good game on the half-back flank to Giles. Giles in turn to Benny, trips over when he would have liked to stand up. Oh, poor handball. Punch then from Strong. Ball comes to the centre. Becker, the full-back, streams through the centre, kicks to the half-forward line, and Devon Udo uses his body well. Plays on, crisscrossing footy, but it pays off because Coleman takes the mark in pretty well the same position where he kicked a minor score about 2 to 3 minutes ago.
And really this time he needs to deliberate over the shot and really make sure that he gets the goal to put the Bay that extra goal closer. He's a little bit further than last time.
Look at that. You just lose a bit of concentration and you can see what happens. Every picture tells a story. So does this. Devon Udo has a shot for goal, and that was a comedy of errors. Gary Davidson, do you want to talk us through it?
Well, I've seen Ian Coffey drop 2 very, very easy marks in the space of 10 minutes of football, and both of them have been in the Sandy Bay full forward line, and that really surprised me. You'll see him let that go through because he obviously could initiate an attack from there, but now we see Paul Atkins kicking the ball back in, which is a bit strange for a centreman, Rob Waters.
Well, I don't know whether that passage will play or make the highlights footage tonight on the news, will it? If you hadn't seen it, you wouldn't have believed it. Now Atkins out towards the half-back line. Bourne can't break free. Jackson's in a bit of trouble here. Good tackle by David Fagan. And the Bay in towards the half-forward line, but no one at home for them. Another easy mark dropped, that time by Wish Wilson. Pressure pretty good here. Wish Wilson goes back and has another chance. McGregor forces him off the ball. Wish Wilson's not too happy about it.
Well, they're two fiery customers, McGregor and Wish Wilson. Wish Wilson not telling him what he'll have for tea tonight. Chezza, what's the scoop down there on the boundary line?
Actually, Chris Fagan just screamed at his players then about taking the short options. He believes that they're just going too short. He wants them to go long, and he reckons he can break them wide open if he can get them going long. So he's getting these boys tuned up.
Adam Palfreman now with his pace. Gets to the footy first. Kicks towards McGregor. 3 Burnie Hawks he's got to do battle with, and the free kick's given away. The man to take it, Satori. Satori to centre wing, Burberry behind. He'll go the punch. And the boundary line, you can see that's pretty well where Chris Fagan's sitting as well, and issuing the orders that Chezza just told us about. Throw in about 80 metres from the Sandy Bay goal.
Sandy Bay runner there, Glenn Hughes, the Sheffield Shield cricketer of note. Justin Metcalf now, the assistant coach with Sandy Bay. 4th kick in towards the forward pocket. DiVenuto couldn't take the mark. Bourne's back there, backing up his defenders. Heads out towards the wing, but only as far as Jeffrey Wiggins, who takes a good mark. Into time on now by about 10 seconds. Wiggins over to Becker. Becker up towards the half-forward line. Oh, here's trouble for the Burnie Hawks. As Viney was in real strife there, picked up by McGregor, who heads for home. And I don't know whether Coffey touched that. He didn't. It's a goal. Well, Michael McGregor makes amends somewhat for missing that mark beforehand. And Sandy Bay now on level terms.
Gee, he looks a much more determined player in 1993, and so obviously the influence of Chris Fagan down at the Bay has resurrected some of the talent that's been here for some time, and of course it's a very young side. McGregor with 3 goals in the first quarter, kicked 3 of the 4 goals that Sandy Bay have to date, and really has put them in a position where they are going to be in touch at quarter time.
Into the time on period by nearly a minute, as you can see there. To Atkins again. He really has been a generator in the centre of the ground. Merton played a good game on the half-back line for the Bay. Kicks in the Palfreman direction. Richard Palfreman takes the mark. Kicks to full forward, and McGregor again. Just missed out on marking that. In comes Bourne. And you can see hands on the head, Nigel Palfreman just going out of the screen. He was right for the handball, Davo.
Well, he was waiting for Merton to pick the ball up. In fact, it was Coleman, I think, that kicked the ball off the ground. Really had the time to bend down and pick it up. Would have been a very easy goal, just on quarter time.
4 goals each here at Queenborough. And Wish Wilson will be pretty content to see it over the line, I think. Good player, Dale Wish Wilson's had his injury problems in the last couple of years. Pretty tough. You could almost consider him a recruit in many ways. In the Bay's half-forward line here, Satorihan passes it out. They're going backwards. It might work. No, it won't, because the Palfrey will have a shot at goal. It didn't get a clean kick on it. Gee, Richard Palfreyman there really stole it and almost snuck home a goal for the Bay. Would have put them in front. But this must be a set play, Gary. Atkins kicking in.
I'd say they have their strongest kicker kicking out, and you can see with the length of that kick why he is kicking in.
Oh, all Sandy Bay, though. Player in front's Fagan. We saw him in a North Hobart Guernsey last week. Sandy Bay Guernsey now for mark number 2. Kicks long. McGregor too strong. He's got a vice-like grip as Michael McGregor. He doesn't take 2 bites at the cherry, Davo. 1 grab and that's it.
Well, that's his 4th mark, and now he's lining up for his 4th goal, and the 4 out of 5 for Sandy Bay. The distance certainly isn't going to worry. It's just the concentration and the execution of the skill.
Kicks for goal. No doubt about that one. That's number 4. And the Bay scoop to 5 points clear. They're 5-4. The Burnie Hawks 4-5.
I suspect that Michael Schulze has realised that McGregor is the focal point, and they are going to hammer the ball at him all day. And whilst the game has been running, Ian Coffey has dropped down to that back line, and Johnson has been doing the ruck work against Big Jeff Wiggins. So Schulze is trying to cut off supply when the game is running, but on that occasion the ball just came in and he used his body to great effect to take front position. You can see Ian Coffey in the back there really didn't fulfil the role that he was put there for.
And here comes Sandy Bay. Palfreyman sends them home and towards full forward. This might bounce all the way. McGregor for goal number 5. McGregor's on fire. Isn't he a happy lad? Great to see Mick McGregor. And there's not many players in the TFL capable of kicking 5 1/4, but boy, he is one of them.
Well, we had young Harris from South Launceston kick 7 1/4 at West Park. I don't think there's going to be enough time for Michael McGregor to do it today, but it did show you the value of getting the ball out of the centre square, and here you see it coming up with Nigel Palfreyman throwing it onto his boot. Almost dribbled through himself, but McGregor had the presence of mind to grab it quickly and then put it onto the boot quickly rather than try to steady. So a great start, 6 shots at goal, and he's had 4 very strong marks, so a very dangerous player for Burnie Hawks and Michael Schulze.
He looked tight on the outside, but I reckon he'd be glowing on the inside. 5 goals in the quarter. The Hawks start to strike back. Down in the direction of Gray. Free kick picked out, though. And Guy Gray's going to have a shot for goal. No, the ball's going back now. So the ball in the possession of Travis Dick. Travis Dick lines up from 45. Shot looks pretty good. In fact, super goal from Dick. Well, what a goal was that. So another goal to the Burnie Hawks. They're 5-5. Sandy Bay 6-4. Peter Chesnell.
Yes, got an injury report from down on the boundary line. Mark Watterson's got a slight thigh, but will be able to come back on the ground, guys. So they're pretty happy on the Bay bench at the moment. Thank you.
Look, it's our pleasure, Chither.
Well, it's been an interesting bit of play over the last 5 minutes. In time on, Sandy Bay have kicked 3 goals, and that answering goal from Burnie Hawks has brought them that 5 points closer to that total of 40 points from Sandy Bay just before the quarter-time siren.
High-scoring match, this one. 6 goals to 5. 11 goals in the first quarter, and here's Bourne as he kicks to half-forward line. Guy Gray's yards in front of his opponent, and he won't be able to keep it in. If that had been a better kick from Bourne, a real chance then, Burnie, because Gray had metres on his opponent. Half-forward flank. Burnie trailing by about a goal. Here's Robert Newton, who has played on the ruck for Sandy Bay over the years, but finding a home at centre-half back. And the ball was over the line before Coleman could get his kick in. So the young Sandy Bay team enjoying themselves at home for the first time this year. And Strong, the big tap. Here's Coleman, can feed it up to Metcalf. That's where he goes. And Justin Metcalf up towards the half-forward line. They make a contest of it after Coffey looked in the van. And it's quarter time here. Pretty weak siren, fellas. Have to do something about that. Very limp, wasn't it? At quarter time, Sandy Bay 6-4-40 lead Burnie 5-5-35 after an excellent quarter of footy. Gee, 11 goals, Davo. Good start.
Biggest possession winner for Sandy Bay.
Now the local derby in Launceston, Jim. North and South Launceston. South Launceston in touch, but they trail by 2 goals.
Peter Chisnell waiting very patiently down there, as well as we have a look at Devonport and Hobart's match, where the Tigers, this could be their first victory. 2-9, not good kicking to 1-3, but the Tigers in front against Devonport. And the other result, of course, North Hobart and New Norfolk, the Demons, a bit of a comeback from last week, 6-2 to 2-4. Match of the day maybe, other than this one. Glenorchy 5-2, Clarence 2-3. The Magpies, could they be on the march? Davo, you started them off years ago with those premierships. They're coming back.
A long time ago, Jim, but yes, they were expecting a big crowd out there and expecting a big result, given that they had a good start last week on Easter Monday with the win over Hobart. Very young side again. I think Peter Chisnell's on the boundary line waiting to give us a report on what the coaches had to say at quarter time.
Way you go, Chizza.
Yes, Peter Giles looks to have some pretty heavy strapping on his ribs at the moment. He looks pretty sore. I'm not expecting him to last the game out. But along with Mark Watterson also, that knock was to the kidneys, so he's also a pretty sore player. They have got some problems, the Bay, but Chris Fagan has asked them to look at their defensive side. He's asking them to work on their defences and start running not only into the forward line, but chasing those players out when the ball goes out. So on the other hand, Big Schulze screamed at his blokes about getting first use of the ball and getting the ball quickly out of the centre. So he's called on them for a little bit more heart. He pointed the finger at a few blokes too, I'll tell you. Back to you guys. It's going to be a tough one, this one, I'll tell you.
Peter Chisnell on the boundary line, and to take us away in the second quarter here with Sandy Bay leading by 5 points, Jim Wilkinson.
There it is, 40 playing 35. Griggs restarts play. Wiggins starts it with a good tap, only to Atkins. Atkins to half forward. It's going to be all Benny. Benny, he goes short to Honor. And Benny then very unselfish. He could have kicked for goal. He decided to go short. Tommy Honor's got it now.
As a coach, Jim, Gary or Jim, would you prefer to see him short pass it like that or kick the goal?
Well, I think he was going to have problems kicking the ball with his left foot, and that's why he opted for the pass to Tom Honor.
Well, hindsight's 20/20 vision too, because he would have loved to kick a goal then. Tom Honor a minor score, and you just can't miss those. I know it's easy to say from where we are and much harder where Tom Honor is now, but those goals have got to be kicked. Kick out a big one too in the Pulframan direction. He can't mark it. Chance for Devenuto. Goes off the table, Maradona style. Wiggins about to pick up the big fellow. Oh, just ferries it very well indeed. Was he over the line? He must have been. Well, for a big fellow, he really knelt down quickly. Very flexible indeed. And there he is in your screen. Have a look at him. About equal to a first story. Davo's house anyway. He's going to do the ruck work now. Gets up to the second to do that. Down to Fagan. Over to Metcalf. He's been a big possession winner. He got 6 in the first quarter. That's kick number 7 to Pulframan. Back to Fagan. Here goes Atkins. He normally does something with it. He marked it and decided then to go back and take the kick. Good play then from the Bay, because he was wanting to handball it.
And Atkins now drives Burnie Hawks up towards the half-forward line. Plenty of high flyers. No one could take the mark. Metcalf's back there to crumb things up. Over towards Robbie Newton. Nice little spin there, gets him out of trouble. And Sandy Bay will run it here, I think. Burnell gets it across here towards Nigel Pulframan. Pulframan kicks to half-forward. Impressive build-up. Oh, good big leap then, but the man in front took the mark. And for Sandy Bay, that player is Richard Pulframan. He heads in towards full forward. McGregor!
Davo wins the move, going to be made of Weller onto McGregor.
That would be the logical one. I think he's going to have the strength to hold McGregor out. McGregor has used both his leap and his pace to get to the ball, and at different times he's used his body to keep the Burnie Hawks defenders away from him. Satori really struggling. If he kicks this, it's been a fantastic start to a big game for him.
He's popped it straight through. Goal number 6 for Michael McGregor. And that just about says it all.
Well, the runners out from the Burnie Hawks. It'll be interesting to see whether or not he goes to Satori or whether or not they're going to make the change and bring him down to somewhere else. But really, it has to be done now. See the runner talking to Wish Wilson, and you can see that Wish Wilson looks like taking the job now on McGregor. And given the history of Wish Wilson in playing in defence, I think McGregor's really going to earn everyone that comes his way now.
Well, this really will be a highlight, that matchup, because both players like to play it hard. McGregor, or Weller, one of the people I thought may have been matched up against him. Handballs out to Devenuto. He's bundled off it quickly. Metcalf, quick hands to Nigel Pulframan. Down in the McGregor direction, and he takes another mark. But when you're hot, you're hot. And Michael McGregor is just that. That's his 6th mark to Michael McGregor, and he's got 6 goals.
What's the TFL goal kicking record? He kicks 5 a quarter.
Yeah,
Well, he's got to go close to getting it, hasn't he? On that right boot of his, the kick going to the left, through for the minor score. But McGregor, I think he's kicked about 6 too. So what a game he's having in front of the sticks.
And the people in front of him are the important people as far as I'm concerned. The good use of the ball by Nigel Pelfram, and then he had the presence of mind to put the ball out in front of him. And of course McGregor got to the end of it.
Oh, that is so unfair, it's not funny. Gary Davidson, the forward's nightmare. Now, here we are on the half-back line, and the Burnie Hawks kick it up towards the centre wing through Walker. They perhaps need a steadying goal here too, the visitors. David Giles now, very clever player normally, dribbles the kick towards Guy Gray, who has an option in short, and he finds his mark there in Lee Heath, who's already kicked a goal. And he's directly in front here, and he's popped it straight through. It's a scoring feast here at Queenborough. So a good goal in for the Burnie Hawks. Geez, not much reaction from the small crowd here, and 5 points in it.
Well, it's a great scoring game, really. We're seeing the ball moved effectively from one end of the ground to the other with speed. And don't get me wrong, fellas, I've got a great admiration for McGregor and his 6 goals, but don't take too much credit away from the people who are feeding him. Nigel Pelfram is really poking the ball down his throat and then making it look easy.
Davo, one thing I've noticed in this game, there's not as much fumbling as last week, is there? And as a result, the game is much more open.
Yes, exactly, and then the game isn't stopping as much as it was last week.
Metcalf tried the quick hands, but comes out now to Weller. Weller looking to Benny. Benny in front. The boundary line's going to loom close. Oh, but look at that. Merton just stole it from him, put it onto his left boot to Metcalf again. And Merton's playing a crackerjack game on that half-back line. He's everywhere.
Well, they've really got a good running defence. Everybody in that Sandy Bay defence is prepared to run down the ground and initiate an attack.
Wiggins with his left hand, only to Atkins. That was Dick. Dick on the left boot, but there's that Bay defence again through Becker. Boris Becker, the left boot, down to the centre wing. Metcalf goes high. And holds the pigskin, then gives it to the umpire, boundary umpire. Rob Waddles will tell us who that is in a minute. We won't miss anything here. Punched away by Coleman. The big thump finds Metcalf. He's everywhere, the little fella. A smother. The Hawks going to get away with it. Wish Wilson puts his head down and burrows. Gray Coleman again. Well, fairly rough passage of play. Wish Wilson not happy. Looks like the hairdresser missed a bit on the back, Rob. He's not a happy man.
Boundary umpires today are who? Let's have a look. Swift and Woolno.
There's boundary umpire Swift, I think. You picked him in one. And Fagan.
He's aptly named, isn't he?
David Fagan. Will this be his first goal for Sandy Bay? Goal umpire doesn't move. It's another one for the Bay. 8-5 to 6-6. This is a very high-scoring game indeed. 53 playing 42. And only 7 minutes into the second quarter.
Well, he worked hard for that, David Fagan. He was involved in a number of passages coming down that far wing, and of course the overzealous play of Darwish Wilson in defence cost Burnie Hawks dearly, and that's something that would upset Michael Schulze, because he's got a big responsibility back there now, Darwish Wilson, and being the experienced player that he is, he needs to set a great example in getting in and getting the ball and initiating some attacks from that full-back line.
So back to 11 points now, and here comes Sandy Bay again through Burnell, working hard in the middle. No one can take the mark. Bit messy here. Nigel Pelfram goes in short, very clever kick, but it was well chopped off, just as well for Burnie Hawks, because McGregor was lurking and he's already kicked 6. And Wish Wilson has the presence of mind to get it out here towards Jackson, who goes over the top to Taylor. Taylor up towards the half-forward line. Kick didn't find its mark in Viney. Becker goes in and introduces himself to the emergency umpire. It's a very stable facility, that one. Anyway, we're out of bounds, right on centre wing.
Wiggy's the call from the Bay players. And that's one of them really comes through the pack. Robbie Newton. And the free kick going to Newton. To Nigel Pelfram. He's having a look. Who's there? It's Gray Coleman. Probing handball finds him. He goes out to Richard Pelfram, who's been a good player on that flank position. Kicks down in the Devenuto direction, and the Bay really have got some speed. They're in front, they're leading for the ball, and they're confident in their players upfield. Long kick, McGregor over the back. So too is Metcalf. He's going to be first to it. So the boundary line looming close. There's a free kick. And the free kick is going to Merton. Well, stop start. What's the situation? He went on with it over the line on the full. And we'll see the ball now kicked away by number 28, Lee Heath. Heath goes long to centre wing. Wiggins over the back. Charges through the pack, loses the footy. Rawlings has a kick, a quick one for the Burnie Hawks over the line.
Well, last week we saw two finalists from last year, including the reigning Premier, North Hobart and Clarence. And this week, two of the lesser lights as far as previous performances go. And I'll tell you what, the standard between these two is the equal, if not better than what we saw last week. Up on centre wing now. And Sandy Bay will get it out here through hand passes. Might be overdoing it a bit there. And Atkins gets it for Burnie. Hand pass off to Grant Jackson. His brother Kent playing in Adelaide this year in the SANFL. Or South Adelaide, I believe. And through Polterman, Sandy Bay will move forward. Becker, good kick up towards the half-forward line, and taking the mark is Adam Polterman. They're all in the action here. The Sandy Bay up towards McGregor again. He's got about 50 to beat. Coffey's back there, couldn't take the mark. Lost a bit of confidence with his kicking as Coffey. McGregor tripped, goes in again. Coffey mops up. Back towards the centre of the ground, but only as far as Coleman, who goes in towards the pocket, and Nigel Polterman can't take the mark. And it's gone over. Gee, what a pickup he'll be for Sandy Bay. I mean, he's played 15 or 16 games with the Brisbane Bears in the seniors last year. In his early 20s, back in the TFL.
Not even that, 18, 19 years of age. I think he's 19, so it was funny as we were walking in today, Rob. I was having a chat to both Brent and Stuart Polterman, and I suppose the head of the dynasty, Doug Polterman, the grandfather of the kids on the field now, and they'll be pretty happy with their performance because they're all really amongst it at the moment, and so too's this man. Kent Jackson not happy. Can't say the same though for Michael McGregor. He's already kicked 6. This could be goal number 7. 50 metres from goal. Kick, not a bad one. Goal umpire running and then standing still. Goal number 7 to Michael McGregor. How many is he going to kick?
Well, I think the thing that would please Chris Fagan about that was Michael McGregor was prepared to work to keep the ball in the forward line, and laying the tackle on and trying to smother it up was rewarded with the free kick. And I thought the distance might have troubled him a little bit, but he really laid back on it and went through three-quarter post high. And 7 goals in 40 minutes of football is a fantastic reward, particularly for the Sandy Bay team who are playing with good system. Somewhat indirect in the early part of this quarter, but better system has seen them sneak away to a very handy 17-point lead.
Well, you know what he's going to do when he gets the ball. He's had 9 kicks and he's kicked 7 goals and 2 behind. So a tremendous effort from Michael McGregor. And the Burnie Hawks with some answering to do now as Satori goes straight down the middle, and a good mark here has been taken by Nick Taylor, the ex-Clarence player now with Burnie. Good quality footy this, 15 goals, and we're only 12 and a half minutes or so into the second quarter. Taylor straight up the middle, no one at home for Burnie. I think Honnor's given away a free kick there, and Robbie Newton's trotting back to take the kick. Now he's offering himself as an option, so Strong has it. And the Bay out of trouble. Younger up towards the half-forward line. And they won't be able to keep it in. That's young Adam Polfin in there, so Sandy Bay's defence standing up firm. Peter Chisnell almost grabs the ball and has a kick. We'll fall straight in the arms of Burnell there, and it's a very open forward line. Polfreman can go over the top towards McGregor, who's on his own in the goal square. If they get it here, they're right, but they mightn't do so. Wish Wilson has gone and left McGregor all on his own, and they might pay here. Oh, good tackle, though, on that occasion from Walker. Still McGregor in the goal square. It's picked up, shot at goal is good. Richard Polfreman, I think, has booted another one home for Sandy Bay, who is starting to get on top here, and the break now out to 4 goals.
Yes, and really, they got a good reward, Sandy Bay, for working so hard to keep the ball in. It started with Burnell getting the hand pass out. It was followed up by the good tackle by Hills on Wish Wilson. The ball spilt free to Metcalf. He got it across, and of course, as you were calling quite correctly, McGregor was alone in the goal square, and Palfreman tried to get it to him, but well cleaned up by Richard Palfreman to finish off the goal.
5 handballs to Justin Metcalf, who's really doing well at ground level for the Bay. He was the one that got it to Richard Palfreman for his first goal. Chance for Dick. Dick trying to get a goal for the Burnie Hawks to get them back into the game. So too's Guy Gray, who watches the ball go over the line. 65 playing 42. The Burnie Hawks, it's a bit of a danger period for them. They can't let the Bay get too many more without striking back. Honor to do the ruck work. Honor over the back, and I think the free kick's been given to the Sandy Bay man in the middle. And the free kick's going to Strong. Scott Strong. True full-back position. Kicks out to centre wing. Coffee set. Takes it on the second grab. Down towards Weller. Can't mark it. Again over the line. Good defensive work then by the Bay's younger.
I think that kick by Ian Coffey that time just gives us an indication of the difference of the way both sides take the ball into their forward line. Coffey did have some time. He was under a little bit of pressure, but could have taken extra time to size up what he'd do with it rather than just throw it onto the boot.
Here's Atkins. Quick snap in towards full forward. Honor's doing the body work there, but it's stuffed away from him. Peter Chisnell on the boundary line.
Yes, Burnie Hawks' Michael Schulze, the coach there, is not very happy at the moment with some of his bigger players. He's called on for more action to help out Ian Coffey in the ruck. I believe that the 2 big guys from the Bay are draining Coffey, and he's calling on his blokes to work a bit harder in those packs. Going to be a pretty tough encounter.
Have to stick the kettle back on again then, Chisholm?
I think so, mate, yes.
So the Burnie Hawks have scored a point. 22 points the difference now. Good long kick in. And you get value for your kicks here at the small Queenborough Oval. We're up at the wing through one kick. Burberry up towards the half-forward line. Palfreman in front. I think he's stolen it. Good grab.
That's Hills.
Sorry, Hills. Good little player. Should know him. Now McGregor goes underneath. He's getting a free kick. Over the shoulder. He's kicked 7. He's enjoying himself. And going for goal number 8. Michael McGregor. I'd like to tell you how far he's out from goal, but we can't accurately judge it without the 50-metre line, which we've become dependent on. McGregor has a shot at goal. He's hit the post.
Michael Schulze, the Burnie Hawks coach, would be very upset with Sean Satori because he really should have punched the ball away from the smaller player, Simon Hills, rather than trying to reach over the back to mark it. Any good defender must learn that lesson of punching the ball if they're caught behind. If in front, mark it.
Heath taking the kick out. Sandy Bay again, quick thinking then by Coleman. Sockers it off the table, so too Wish Wilson. Here goes Nigel Palfreman, bumped off the action. David Fagan to help him out, so too Heath. Free kick to Lee Heath. Left boot, short kick looking for Taylor. Taylor takes a strong mark. Well, it's silly doing that. You want to get on with play rather than just throwing a tame right. Kick to centre wing. Atkins at ground level can go towards Benny. Benny can run onto the footy. Handballs to nobody. Devon Udo's in the way for the Bay. Here's Burnell. Been a fairly quiet player for Burnell standards. On the left boot, goes out wide to Devon Udo. Seems to be their plan, the Bay, to keep to that Lambert Avenue side of the ground because there's loose players everywhere. The mark taken by Rawlings. Rawlings rushes forward. Burnell again. You say what a quiet game he has, and he picks up 2 kicks in a couple of seconds. He's going to get a free kick up the ground as well. And the free kick will go to Gray Coleman.
I think you'll find that Burnell's changing on the ball with Nigel Palfreman. That's why we haven't seen enough of him in the action just yet.
Coleman in the Adam Palfreman direction. He's being held by his jumper. Good view of that. Have a look at his pace. He's got Wish Wilson on him. Knocks it to Metcalf. Run past Metcalf and you'll get a kick. Bourne leading in the race for it. Hills comes in front of him. Oh, chance for Adam Palfreman. Sways away from play. Take your head off then to Wish Wilson smother. And here goes Atkins. Atkins long over the centre wing.
Great play then from Wish Wilson, but Strong's back there. Little left foot kick is good. And luckily for the Bay, Becker got a shove in the back. He dropped an absolute sitter. I suppose that's why. So, so Becker has it now on centre wing. The Bay looking the goods here in the second quarter, which is 18 minutes old. To centre half forward. Grummers required, and they're with the Burnie Hawks. Grant Jackson straight up the middle. They need a mark here. Honnor's the best bet. Can't drag it down. Guy Gray, good hand pass to Giles on the left boot. Should goal, and he's kicked it out of bounds and on the full. And he's not happy. What more can you say?
Well, I think David Giles said it all. But far, far too casual. He really just said the goal face was open, and he really just had no intensity in the effort at all.
Peter Giles long to the half-back flank, and this man, he was draining early, was Coffey, so Chezza told us. He takes the mark, goes off to Atkins. Atkins on the left boot has a shot. He's going to get another one as well. And Tom Honnor's eyes would be fairly sparkly now. Only 10 yards from goal, and he's got a free kick.
What do you think draining is?
Draining? I don't know. I'll let you chew on that one, Rob.
Okay.
Put us on notice.
We'll get a definition from Chizza in the second half. You're on notice, Chizza.
Kick from Tom Honor. Right through the middle. And Honor kicks goal number 2. Chezza, what is draining? Is it percolating or what?
Well, yeah, it's a little bit of a cross member, isn't it? It's a cross between a brain drain and a heavy knock.
A lot of brain drain up here, mate.
There's no brain drain up there, that's for sure. Plenty down here.
Making a few assumptions, there's a few brains up here in the first place is a bit dangerous. But a good goal in from the Burnie Hawks. They're 7th, and boy did they need that. Sandy Bay threatening to steal this game from their clutches. And here they go again. Viney off the ground towards Taylor. Uses his pace, swings onto the left boot. Luckily gets it to Atkins. Atkins in towards full forward again, and Honnor's out in front. And Big Tom, can he pick it up? No, he can't. The Bay defence working well. It ends up with Becker, and Becker transforms things across the ground. They seem to be switching sides to open up play, and it's working for them. Burnell up towards the centre wing area, and the mark here has been taken by Richard Polferman, who's kicked 1 goal today and has been a fair player. 1 goal, 1 for young Richard Polferman. And they're all in the action. He goes long, and in comes McGregor on the big long lead. Couldn't quite get there. McGregor's kicked 7 goals too, and it's not yet half time. Back in towards the middle of the ground. Burberry bumped off it. DiVenuto. Giles. Jackson ignored the hand pass option. Went for the kick. Honnor's back there. Good use of the body, Big Tom Honor. Slaps it out towards Benny. Back to Honor. The Sandy Bay defence keeping them honest. Benny goes again. Oh, his teammate there tried to steal it off him, Guy Gray. Benny takes a long time. Centering kick, though, is good. Oh, that mark should have been taken. Here's Taylor, and he was caught high, and he'll get a free kick, 20 in front.
And as all that was going on, Rob, writhing in a bit of pain, I think, was Michael McGregor. I see him up on his feet now, Davo. I know you got the glasses on him. What happened?
Well, he flew for the mark with Ian Coffey. They waited for him to lead right down the ground. He flew for the mark, hit the ground very hard, and looks like he's done something to an ankle. So let's hope it improves very quickly for Sandy Bay's sake, because he's obviously the focal point. But Nick Taylor, very lucky free kick.
Taylor running into that open goal now. Kicks and kicks truly. A much-needed one from the Burnie Hawks as well. 8-7 their scoreline now. You can see it on the screen. 55 playing 66.
When I say it was a lucky free kick, Nick Taylor's kicked 2 goals from free kicks. It was a lucky free kick simply because he was trying to do a big U-turn and head back towards the goals rather than feed the ball out to other players running down the ground, which is the way that Sandy Bay has been operating, and they've been able to score their goals with a little more system and a little more fluency than the Burnie Hawks, who at this stage are really scrambling everything forward.
So far it's been a 4-goal quarter to Sandy Bay and a 3-goal quarter to the Burnie Hawks. It's not yet over, though. We're just about into the time-on period. Free kick coming out to Bourne. Handballs to Viney. Viney goes towards player leading and leading well in Guy Gray. Get in front's the call from the Bay. Guy Gray was that man in front then. Oh, to Jackson, but chipping in was Burnell. Cut that off to Metcalf. He's been a real distributor of the footy. To Coffey. Coffey will get the free kick. The trip paid. Coffey, wobbly old kick. Finishes up in possession of Russell. Russell goes to Atkins. He just ferries it across then to Johnson. Johnson running into the half-forward position, looking for Honor. Chance for a goal. It's a good one too then from Nick Taylor on his right boot, and he made amends. Nick Taylor, you've kicked number 3. The first one was a torp, Davo. The second one, the free kick. That one he got off the ground.
Well, it was good play too, because he was in the right position for a half-forward flanker, running towards the goals. You can see him clean it up at ground level. Goal square was unattended, threw it onto the right boot and was able to score his 3rd. And he's become a bit of a dangerous forward for them now. Was a very good forward at Clarence last year, doing equally as well at Burnie Hawks in 1993.
Chizza, what's news on the boundary?
The big ask of the Bay boys now. There's a lot of pressure on them. Peter Giles got to leave the ground. I did say before half-time that he had, before quarter-time, that he had a rather bad bruising in his ribs and so forth. He's leaving the ground now, and there's a bit of a problem there with the big full forward as well, but he looks to be okay, just jarring in the knee. Okay?
Okay, back in the middle now. And Grant Jackson, the Hawks have certainly lifted and have kicked the last 3 goals. Burberry couldn't take the mark. Newton's back there. Giles hot on his hammer. Newton dangerously goes backwards towards Burberry. Like a cat on a hot tin roof, but he's got to hand pass it away. Comes to Lee Heath. Here's David Russell. Centering kick or shot at goal. Shot at goal is an absolute blinder, but it's missed. Big build-up, Gary.
It was a big build-up, and once again, it just shows you the sort of system that the Bay have used to get the front, whilst they're really putting the gears down now, Burnie Hawks, to get back, really not playing with too much system in the forward line.
Nigel Pulfreman will get the free kick. He kept the ball in front of himself cleverly then. As Giles is going off the ground, Pulfreman kicks in towards the skipper, Burnell. Burnell, drop punt kick in the Wiggins direction. Oh, in chips Coffey. Well, he takes a lot of marks, doesn't he, Ian Coffey? Just like plucking apples. Kicks to half-forward line. Strong mark then from Newton in front. You saw the blokes running from behind. Newton stood his ground and marked well, handballed badly. Heath, the goals lined up in front of him, just dribbles it Dacos style through for another to the Burnie Hawks. Well, Lee Heath doesn't seem too happy, but I think his coach would be after that goal, because it puts the Hawks back in front.
Well, look, very ordinary Burnie Hawks in the opening minutes of this second quarter, and particularly even including the minutes in time on of the first quarter, but they've fought back well over the last 5 or 6 minutes, where they've really got the Sandy Bay side rattled. They've gone back into their shells a little bit. This free-flowing play where they use the ball with great system when they brought it forward seems to have disappeared, and they're back into a stop-start style of footy, which is just not effective on this smaller ground.
So some thinking for Sandy Bay to do here, as Burnie has kicked the last 4 goals and are on a bit of a roll. But Robbie Newton charges out of the middle. Good hand pass to Pulfreman. And where's McGregor? Because that's who he's looking for, but he's out of position there and looks a bit proppy, Mick McGregor. Wish Wilson runs off him. McGregor looks in a bit of trouble down there at full forward, which is terrible news for Sandy Bay. Here's Nigel Pulfreman. That's a clever little hand pass, but numbers at the ball with Burnie. Good one from Weller over to Atkins, and here come the Burnie Hawks. Atkins straight down towards Guy Gray. Good mark. Guy Gray has taken 4 grabs now. He's been involved a bit in the action when it's gone down there. He's kicked 1 goal, 2. That probably should have been 3 goals. And here comes Guy Gray, straight in front, and he's kicked it. So the Burnie Hawks have kicked the last 5 goals now, and really storming over the top of Sandy Bay at the moment, who have got their problems. McGregor's properly in the goal square, and they seem to have lost their way a bit.
I think you can put this one down to not only the good mark of Guy Gray, we commented earlier just how good he is overhead, but the clever, heady play of Paul Atkins, who thought about feeding the ball off to other running players, but decided that the longer kick on the smaller Queenborough Oval was the best way to go. And of course, he was targeting Tom Honor leading out from the goal square, and Guy Gray chipped in to take the mark over Andrew Younger.
Chizzy, you've bounced up on the boundary line again.
Yes, Michael Schulze very excited in the Burnie Hawks rooms at the moment, or in his box at the moment. He's calling on just to pack numbers on.
Hang on, Chiz, a goal scored to Nick Taylor. So another one to the Burnie Hawks, and Taylor's now kicked 4 goals, and aren't Burnie doing well?
Well, Taylor's kicked 3 this quarter. We saw McGregor kick 5 in 1 quarter. Nick Taylor seems to take it on his boot now that he wants to do the same at the same end. Once again, reading the play cleverly as a half-forward flanker, running with the flight of the ball towards his goals, and of course he's got explosive pace. 4 goals to Nick Taylor. 3 in this quarter. A great reward for a player covering a lot of territory across that Burnie Hawks forward line.
Sorry, Chizza, where were you?
Well, mate, it was just that, well, exactly what happened for the goal before that one, where they just packed numbers on, and that's what Michael Schulze is calling on the Hawks to do now, is pack on the numbers, and that's what they're doing through the centre of the ground. So he's getting his wish at the moment, the Hawks.
Free kick to Sandy Bay strong. Atkins picking up a lot of kicks in that centre of the ground as well, especially the centre bounce. Strong going straight across to Nigel Pulverman. Should have marked that one. Comes back onto it well. Having a look at where to deliver it to. Delivers it to Becker. Becker down to centre half forward. Wiggins goes high, can't mark it. Through comes Burnie. Quick kick. Heath. He's held and he hasn't got it. Jackson wanted him to play the advantage rule, but the man in your screen, or just out of it now, Lee Heath, is the player who's going to take the kick, and he's been a good player too for the Burnie Hawks.
Well, he's kicked goals and he's won possessions further up the field, and certainly a very experienced player for them.
Kicks long to centre half forward. Gray was the target, knocked away from him. Chance now for the Bay. That was through new player on for them in Wilson. Kick not a good one, and the mark taken by Satori.
And he heads in towards the middle and picks out David Russell. Interchange player. Had a bit of an impact in the second quarter. Goes long again. Honnor's up high. Couldn't bring down the mark. Here's Guy Gray. Oh, another one maybe for the Burnie Hawks coming up as he feeds it out here towards Weller, who's within 20. Shocking kick, and he knows it. And really, that would have been disastrous for Sandy Bay. And, of course, excellent for Burnie. Paul Atkins has had 10 kicks in the second quarter. Played a tremendous quarter of footy.
Going out short. Looking for Newton. Did Newton touch it before it went over the boundary? He must have just.
And coupled with that, too, Rob, is that the Burnie Hawks have kicked 5 goals from the 20-minute mark of this second quarter, which is very much like Sandy Bay did in the first quarter.
Well, just before that, they were about 20 points down, and now they're finished up 15 points up. So it's been a massive turnaround in the second quarter.
They were at one stage 23 points down, just under 4 goals.
We'll kick 7 goals for the quarter as compared to Sandy Bay's 4, so they've really lifted their work rate and, importantly, getting the score on the board.
Burberry feeds it out to Merton. Merton goes towards the centre. Richard Pulverman, being one of the Bay's best, flies high, can't bring the mark down. And there's half-time. And the scoreline at half-time, as you can see, Giles and also Watterson. Not really a very fit bench. And there's the scoreline. Sandy Bay 10-6-66. And with that turnaround, especially in the last 10 minutes of the second quarter, Burnie going into the long break ahead, 12-9-81.
Why did they do it, Gary?
Well, I think the Sandy Bay side lost their focus up forward. McGregor is injured and is hobbling off the ground, and so that's going to be a concern for Chris Fagan. But they really couldn't get the ball past their half-forward line. They seemed to take it out to the Lambert Street side and really struggled to get any further than the half-forward line. And it seems now that for the Burnie Hawks, with their tails up, kicking 7 for the quarter, Nick Taylor is on fire on that half-forward flank. Atkins, of course, set up the quarter with some big bombs to the goal square and his creative and kicking and hand passing. I think they're in with a big show now.
10-6-66 Sandy Bay. A bit shocked after that second quarter revival by Burnie. 12-9-81. We'll be back with the second half here at Queenborough in about 15 minutes. Devonport and Hobart all tied. No, it's 5-11-41 to 7-9-51. So I assume Hobart leading that by 10 points. North Hobart 8-4-52 to New Norfolk 4-6-30. They missed you, Chizza. New Norfolk down by 22 points. And Glenorchy well on top of Clarence. Is the Magpie machine getting back in order? So some interesting half-time scores there. Gee, what a fill-up for the competition it will be if Glenorchy can get right up there again. But there's 2 clubs here at Queenborough who are really striving to get back up the list. Sandy Bay and Burnie. Well, McGregor. We can't get the R in there, but he's kicked 7 goals and been an absolutely outstanding player. While for the Burnie Hawks, they've had a few that have bobbed up. Taylor and Heath. Taylor kicked 3 goals in that second quarter and a pretty valuable contributor.
Well, he is, and the other 2 men there, Honor and Gray, with 2 apiece each, have been the focal points, but Taylor's bobbed up with 3 goals in that second quarter that really set them alight before they went in for the long break.
Dave Burnie coming onto the ground now. We saw them halfway through that second quarter. Really, they looked like they'd just run out of petrol, didn't they, and stopped. But did you see anything, some spark, which got them going halfway through the second quarter? Or did you see any move Or what was it that had that turnaround? Because they finished up kicking 7-4 in the second quarter.
Well, I think it was a combination of Coffey dropping back across that half-back line to chop the Sandy Bay movement of the ball into their forward line, and the other combining factor was the fact that Paul Atkins ended up with, he's had 17 possessions in the first half of football, 10 kicks in that second quarter. He was getting the ball out of the centre square, and that was really setting up the thrust forward that allowed them to kick 7 goals in the quarter.
Well, what about McGregor? I mean, if he's injured, it's a real problem for them, isn't it?
Well, Peter Chisnell might have some news. I know he's been hovering around that Sandy Bay camp, so perhaps he might have some news on Michael McGregor. All right, we might go down to you, Chizza.
No, Michael McGregor's okay at this stage. He's got a slight jarring of the knee, but Chris Fagan's called on his blokes to take risks. He said, in this situation, you've just got to take risks and show some character. Michael Schulze, on the other hand, has called on his guys to just put numbers on the ball all the time. Numbers on and get the ball out of the centre quickly, and long kicks. He's going to drag any player that kicks short under no circumstance do they go short. They've got to go long all the time. So we're going to see some real action in this quarter of football, I believe.
Which is not a bad game to date, is it?
Tremendous game, Jim, and both sides are really calling on their depth. You know, they're looking to dig deep. Chris Fagan's really calling on a character building here, so he's asking these young players to look at their character and dig deep and really pull something out for the Bay. He called on a little bit of history, creating a bit of history for themselves. So, you know, we could see some pretty desperate young Bay players out here right now to pull themselves back into this game.
There's the Burnie bench, and they'd be a pretty happy bench too.
Half a footy to go, though, Jim. This match is a long, long way off being settled yet. And here we go in the third quarter. Wiggins in ruck, taps it forward. The Bay desperately seeking that first goal. And they've got their opportunity here as courage was shown then by Metcalf, little number 3. Out there to centre-half forward, slapped away towards Atkins. Comes to Nigel Palfreman. Creative hand pass this to brother Richard. Richard in towards full forward. Where's McGregor? He's hobbling after Darwish Wilson. Obviously restricted Michael McGregor. And what a shame that is, because he was magnificent in that first half, kicking 7 goals.
Rawlings has one bounce. Now kicks long. That's what Schulze was telling them to do. Kick it long. It pays off too, because the kick being taken now down to the half-forward line by Taylor, and the mark a fine one to Gray. Well, he really has been a thorn in the side of the Bay. It's his 5th mark. He's taken them in the air. He's taken them on the ground.
Jim, it seems that the tactic is that Guy Gray do all the leading and that Tom Honor would be the focal point in the goal square.
Shooting for goal, just to the right, the minor score. Wouldn't be happy with that one, Guy Gray, but I think on the whole he'd be pretty happy with his game. That's, what, 3 behinds? So not the straightest boot today to Guy Gray.
Becker out towards Newton. I don't think anyone touched that, so it'll be a Burnie kick. And David Giles has it. And goes in short, and it's chopped off. Honor was on the lead, and in the end, Burberry took a very good mark. Goes back. Looking for Newton. No one there could take the mark. This is where Sandy Bay are dangerous. At ground level, as Nigel Palfreman creates a path, has a bounce, which is a bit of a rarity in the small confines of Queenborough, and heads to half forward, but no one was home.
They really do need Nigel Palfreman to put in a big quarter, Sandy Bay, because this is an important quarter of football for them. They need a big quarter from him to really set up some of these forward thrusts. He's got enormous pace, as we saw on the screen then, and his use of the football has been fairly good all day. On that occasion, not quite finding its target, but he's a very, very key player for the Sandy Bay side of this quarter.
12 possessions in the first half of football to Nigel Palfreman. His brother Richard had 10. So they've really been amongst it. The ball on the half-forward line. Atkins is there just hovering, overseeing what was going on. And he really overseed it in the first half too. Huge quarter of football in that second quarter. He's already picked up 17 possessions. The ruck work, it's being done by the Burnie Hawks through Johnson. Boundary line looms up. Atkins is saying to Simon Hills, don't push him into the fence. Not much though, is it, Davo? A couple of words. That's about it. Richard Palfreman gets the tap. Burnell, Richard Palfreman running back onto it. Oh, flicks it up to Hills. He goes short to Newton. Newton's tackled well. Ball comes out to Heath. Heath on that left boot if he is. Down to centre wing. Just crosses the centre now. Burberry's in the box seat. Put the ball over the line, and Well, a good rugby union kick, that one. Travelled about 65, 70 metres in the end and then went over the line.
And off screen, you can see all the pack just come up to the boundary throw. And a pretty important one, too, for the Burnie Hawks, because they need to score quickly in this third quarter to really offset the Bay's challenge.
It's a bit messy here on the half-forward line. Burnie slightly into attack. Giles cut off by Wiggins. And the big fellow boots it back up towards the centre of the ground, hugging the boundary line. And I think Hills has given away a free kick there. And Satori will have to go back and take the kick. Which he does. And kicks it to centre half forward. Plenty of high leapers. And another free kick going to the Burnie Hawks. Going to David Giles. Got a shove when in the mark contest. Quick kick in towards Guy Gray was an excellent little pass. And Guy Gray becoming an important factor now, Gary, isn't he? With his 2 goals, 3.
He probably should have 5 goals next to his name, and they moved Tim Burberry off him, and the player on him now, Andrew Younger, isn't doing much better. So another headache for Chris Fagan.
And Gray, shot at goal's good. Honor likes it. So do the Burnie Hawks fans. So the first goal there for Burnie, who now lead by 22 points and very, very threatening.
Well, especially so when they're using Guy Gray as the leading forward and Honor staying in the goal square, although Honor does make the occasional lead. But very good overhead is Guy Gray. 3 goals, 3. And David Giles, that is, from the Burnie Hawks side, is starting to come into the game. Been fairly quiet in the first half, but he's playing centre half forward flank, starting to get into it.
Wiggins thumps it out to the half-back line. He was looking for Strong. Oh, but too strong then for the Burnie Hawks as it came out to Rawlings. Rawlings to Benny. Benny, the pass, a beauty. And Gray will have his third kick in about 3 minutes. He's kicked 1 goal, 1 in this third quarter. He's been the sole scorer for either side in the third quarter. Now he's going for goal number 4. He just chips at the footy. Goal umpire doesn't move. We said only moments ago he didn't have his right kicking boot on. He's already kicked now 4. 4 goals, 3 to Guy Gray, and there might be a move up there, Davo.
Just the start that Michael Schulze would have been wanting to, Jim, and I suspect that Chris Fagan is thinking of making a move. Younger's still with him, but the runner's coming out, heading straight for the vicinity of it. But good use of the football from Robert Benny, as you see on screen, and I'm not sure that Tom Honor would be all that pleased with Guy Gray chipping across in front of him whilst Honor makes his lead from the goal square, and perhaps that might be the system that they're working out this year with the Burnie Hawks forward line.
Well, here's Atkins. He's been a dominant player and he heads towards full forward. Honor won't get there. Guy Gray's lurking. Here he is, Guy Gray. Chance for goal number 5. If he swings around, it's close. I think he hooked it too much. So Guy Gray in everything at the moment. And the Burnie Hawks 29 points in front.
4-4 to the man on the screen, and the move's been made too because Becker's on to Gray now. And Younger is going on to Tom Honor. Big mark, though, taken on that occasion by Johnson. Dean Johnson takes plenty of time, goes in the Honor direction. Plenty of Seagulls there, and Strong's the flying Seagull. In fact, it's Wiggins. Strong mark then to Wiggins. He goes short to Metcalf. Metcalf on the left boot towards Strong. Strong perhaps should have marked it. In there's Johnson. He's done well since coming on. Over to Rawlings. Got a bit of pace, this fellow, to Coffey. Coffey's kick. A mongrel punt, I think you'd call that one, up to half forward. And the player again to take the mark as Wiggins. But what a forward's nightmare with that kick. He plays on. Slipped not at the right time by Merton. Out towards Nigel Palfreman. He runs through a couple of Burnie players. Twisting. Then long handball. Threads it out to Fagan. Can the Bay mount something up forward? Back to Palfreman, running well. The left boot to Hills. Hills will take the mark and just stopped himself from getting clobbered.
Simon Hills, number 25. Hugs the boundary line and, well, he doesn't. He kicks it over the boundary line and out of bounds. Bit of a waste. And Burnie have kicked the last 7 goals in this match. Really dominating the game now. Giles off the ground. Doesn't work. Only as far as Burberry. Newton. And again, Sandy Bay indirect, finding it difficult to get over their half-forward line. And they won't hear Satori. Oh, that was a poor hand pass. Burberry, lucky little kick goes to Richard Palfreman. Palfreman now towards the pocket. There's McGregor, limping after the ball. Kick 7 in the first quarter. Oh, caught high. McGregor goes over, and the offender, Dale Wish-Wilson.
And they kicked 7 goals, and I suppose you've got to expect some attention, but you can see that knee strapped, and I think if there was any more strapping available, he'd probably strap the head, Gary Davidson.
Well, he was rubbing it there, and I suspect that he made contact with Wish-Wilson's knee, and that's why the free kick was given. Kicking into a slightly stiff breeze, and really Chris Fagan would have his fingers crossed that they do get this one, because they haven't scored a goal for something like 20 minutes of football.
In comes McGregor from the boundary line. Won't be a goal, and it's a Sandy Bay mark. That's to Palfreyman, Adam Palfreyman, in the pocket. And we have some Palfreyman magic here. There's been a bit on display so far today for Sandy Bay. But he's on the impossible angle. He'll swing around, intelligent play, shot in at goal. Looks okay. It's a goal. What a tremendous kick from young Adam Palfreyman. That's his 2nd goal, and an absolutely vital goal for Sandy Bay.
Well, it wasn't exactly magic, but it was very intelligent play. The kid realised that he couldn't play on because the umpire had blown time off. Many players you see try to play on from those situations, but they have to come back and have the shot again. But he just weighed up the options, found that there was nowhere to kick it to, and decided just to take the couple of steps inside the boundary line and drop it on the boot and screw it through. A very intelligent goal.
The Bay needed that one. That's their first goal for a long time. Atkins trying to change the scoreline around, though. Over to Bourne. Bourne's kick out into open territory. Metcalf's going to be first there. You can see the ground he's got around him. Another handball to Metcalf. That's about possession number 16 or 17 to him. And the ball comes down to Devenuto, who takes the mark. Good game last week from this fellow, Peter Devenuto. They want a big quarter from him. Short and fair, too, to Richard Palfreyman.
Still tied up in that forward pocket, though. That would be the only thing that would concern Chris Fagan. They have become somewhat indirect since the 20-minute mark of that 2nd quarter, and it would be a worry for Chris Fagan. Even though Palfreyman scored the other goal, but there's Adam Palfreyman. It's still a very tight shot to shoot from.
He's only about 30 metres from goal, but fairly hard up on the chalk line. The kick from Richard Palfreyman goes across the face. Going high then was Palfreyman Adam over the line on the full. So there'll be a free kick. The kick's going to the Burnie Hawks.
And a bit of a collision then from Fagan and Wiggins. And I suppose, well, they should know each other. I mean, ex-North Hobart players, but new players sometimes in a new lineup take a little time to gel. But it was unfortunate for the Bay, and the Burnie Hawks can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief. Good work then from Coffey. And the ball has gone over the line, so Burnie just edging it away from the Sandy Bay goals. Down to Peter Chisnell on the boundary line. What's up, Peter?
Yes, Chris Fagan's really concerned at this moment with the drive that's coming from Dean Johnson, number 11 from the Burnie Hawks, and also from Paul Atkins. He's calling on his players to man those blokes up. They've got a chance of getting back into this game. But they've got to man those 2 players up right now.
Another collision then from 2 Sandy Bay players. On that occasion, Strong was involved. Coleman goes back towards Strong. They were the 2 players who collided. And what is that, lack of talking? Or?
Well, indecision, I suppose, as to who was really going to focus on the football and go through with it, and that's really come through in Sandy Bay's play in the last 5 or 10 minutes.
Strong doing the ruck work. Oh, strong tackle then by the new player on Greg Wilson, and here he goes again back into it. Handball, a clever one to Hills, at the boundary line, too close. Got to start mounting some more moves, Davo, in the centre of the ground, haven't they, the Bay? They're leading to the pockets, and that's where the ball's going. Strong, the tap, straight down then to Taylor. It's Greg Wilson again for Sandy Bay on that left boot. It's not his favoured one, as you could see, but the mark taken by Adam Palfreyman. He's about 55 from goal. Wouldn't the Bay dearly love this one? 95 playing 72. He's not a bad kick of the footy either. The drop punt kick, it's certainly straight. Just falls short. Down there on the behind post was Craig Coleman. Couldn't get to it. Minor score. 73 playing 95. They're getting to them closer in behinds.
They're working very hard, aren't they? They just haven't got the same system and electricity about their play that they had in the first half.
We've got Warwick Hatfield here. He may be able to help us a bit with that electricity.
Of these days, he's right where you want to be at the ABC. Now, on the half-forward line, the Burnie Hawks bottling it up again. Atkins out to Taylor, and Taylor takes it away after a sustained Sandy Bay attack. And the mark's been taken there by Coleman, and he's just kicked it out of bounds and on the full.
Just not good enough for senior level football. And I think that's been the thing about the Bay's play. Early in the day, they were moving the ball on very, very quickly. Plenty of runners coming past those set play situations, and the attacks were initiated from there, but very much stop-start now.
Lee Heath can't control it. So we'll have another boundary throw in.
In fact, there's been a fair bit of stingo out of this game. Some of the players look tired, and really the quality of skills being shown is probably indicative of the level of fitness of them.
I was just going to mention that. It hasn't got the spark that it had in the first half. Maybe we're expecting too much. But in the first half, we saw 22 goals scored, and it was tremendous football, but been a bit stop-start in this third quarter.
Very rare you get that type of footy for the full 4 quarters, though, isn't it? I suppose there's got to be some smouldering of the game, and that's what it's been in this third quarter to date. Going high was Johnson, been a good player for the Hawks since coming on. And we'll see another throw in. 73 playing 95, 15 minutes halfway through this third quarter. You can see the clock there on your left of your screen. Chance for the Hawks to come forward. Jackson, quick kick to centre-half forward. Nearly a good mark to Giles. He keeps front position well. Handballs it across then to Russell. Well, Russell wanting to play on, but the free kick to Robbie Newton. Been a fair player for the Sandy Bay team. Centre-half back. Kicks down to centre-half forward. Hawks, too many at ground level. They kick the ball high again towards Giles. This time the Clarence player of 1992. Now Burnie Hawk takes the mark. Long towards Honor. Honor against Younger. Younger with the fist. Honor on the ground does better, though. The snap for goal from Honor, not a bad one, but Robbie Newton, really, when you want it, it's right there in the teeth on the chalk mark when the ball's flying through for an open goal. And he just saved a certain 6-pointer then, did Robert Newton.
And Chris Fagan has pulled a move. He's got the new player that you were talking about, Jim. Greg Wilson's got the job of tagging Paul Atkins in the centre of the ground. So it'll be interesting to see what effect he has and whether or not the Bay can come back into this game.
The Bay need a couple of goals too. And Newton, who's just been wrapped up by the boys here, takes another mark. Swings onto the left boot and kicks it in towards the middle of the ground. Hills gets there on the half volley and is getting a free kick. It doesn't please Taylor, but does a bit for Sandy Bay. Now Burnell in short. Metcalf taps it over the top towards Nigel Polferman, who's buried. Umpires called play on that occasion. Players from both teams stopped a bit of confusion here. Poor hand pass towards Burnell. Wilson charging through, can't grab the footy. Burnell now. Onto the left boot, he's about 60 from home. In towards full forward McGregor on one leg. He stopped and propped, that's clever. In towards the goal square. No one at home for Sandy Bay, and Walker takes the mark for Burnie. Out towards Jackson, and the Burnie Hawks defending pretty well at the moment as they lead by 22 points.
Jackson kicks it high to Viney, and Viney stands his ground and takes the mark. Going to centre wing, looking for Giles. Giles is giving them something to kick to on that half-forward line, moving around a lot. Kicks now in short, looking for Gray. Punched away by Becker, wearing him like a glove. In fact, too close, says the umpire. And Guy Gray got the free kick. Gray would be 55, 60 metres from goal. I doubt if he'll get the distance, but he'll certainly put it into the square where Tom Honor's lurking. Gray, you can see the concentration on his face as he kicks to that square. Tommy Honor flies, can't bring it down. Oh, well, if a neck's a neck, that's it. David Russell's got the free kick, and Nigel Polferman's not too happy. Nor, of course, would Chris Fagan be. But you can't get free kicks much clearer than that, Gary Davidson, can you?
Well, Nigel Polferman knew exactly what had happened as soon as he'd laid the tackle, and Chris Fagan would be very worried at this stage. Russell kicks this goal and puts them a further 6 points in front. It's going to make it awfully difficult for them now. It's heading towards a 20-minute mark of the third quarter. It's as though they something happened to the Sandy Bay side. Halfway through that second quarter, they went from a fast-running, slick ball-handling side to a side that's lost direction. You can see the free kick being given away by Polferman. And it really is amazing how this game has changed. I suspect that the injury to Michael McGregor has had a big influence on the attitude and the focusing of these Sandy Bay players from the 20-minute mark on to this very point in time.
The problem is they've got 2 injured players on the interchange bench too, so they're really limited with what they can do about it. As Wilson taps them forward here towards Little Hills, looking for someone to hand pass it to. Only got as far as Coffey. He's forced to wildly hand pass it out in the direction of David Giles, who's had a good third quarter. Giles on the left boot now, dribbles it towards the boundary line. And 7 possessions in this third quarter for David Giles. Good effort.
Well, Chizzy, you're getting closer to that coach's box every minute. What's happening down there?
Well, actually, there's the 2 players down on the coach's box. They won't be coming back onto the ground, I believe. But Chris Fagan's called on his boys now for disciplined efforts and instead of the individual stuff that's been going on. So he's really starting to get into these blokes now, and he's looking for some character. He's still calling on real character effort from these guys. So, but the 2 players, the injured players, they won't be back, I don't think.
Umpire Griggs about to restart play. Chizza's coming over a bit fuzzy at the moment, Rob Waters.
Fuzzy Chizza.
Atkins to full forward. Gray can't mark it. Oh, good play from Honor. Flicked it out well. Taylor can go over his shoulder. It's Becker in front. He's paid the mark, or has he paid the free kick? Over the shoulder, says the umpire, and Becker, who's been a good player for Sandy Bay, to take the kick. In the teeth of goals. Goes short to Metcalf. He's run all day. Long to Burnell was that hand pass. Burnell can go into his left boot. Just gets his kick in time. And a big mark, is it, or a free kick? A free kick to Nigel Palfreman, pushing the back. So the Bay starting to surge forward. Long to McGregor. McGregor, though, too far behind Wish Wilson. Luckily comes back onto the footy. McGregor got one as well. The Hawks come away cleanly to Coffey. Coffey on the half-back line has plenty of time to steady and kick long to centre-half forward. Punched away by Burberry. Burnie Hawks, there's 3 of them there. The handball comes out from Taylor. Across to Russell. Russell in turn looking for Benny, but in the way was Gray Coleman.
And Coleman getting himself into a bit of problems here, but gets out of it. David Fagan now. Up towards the half-forward line, and Richard Palfreman's taken a mark. Been a good player in this third quarter. Heads up towards full forward where McGregor's in front. Copying everything a bit at the moment, old Michael McGregor. He kicked 7 in the first half. Oh, that's a good mark, and it's been taken by Strong. Strong to centre-half forward. They're falling down a bit in the forward line now, Sandy Bay, whereas in the first half, they were tremendous up there, mainly through McGregor, I suppose. Now Atkins runs onto it. Centering kick round towards Giles. Oh, good mark, Robbie Newton. Probably the individual battle of the day between Giles and Newton. Honours fairly even. Coleman now, out towards the half-forward line. Sandy Bay needing a goal. And they have an opportunity here if Adam Palfreman can pick it up. He should get away from Satori. Hand pass wasn't good, though. Good pressure from Burnie. Bourne just hand passes it out of bounds. I don't think that was deliberate, was it?
It looked very much to me like it was deliberate. Here's the mark of Adam Newton, Robert Newton, rather, at centre-half back. Has played a very, very good game, and as you quite rightly called, Robert, great battle going on, particularly in this quarter.
Handball, 3 handballs, finally came out to Russell. Russell goes to centre-half forward. Rawlings puts it under his shoulder, runs about 25. Kicks now towards Gray. Big punch, though, from Becker. It's all the Bay. Burnell. The left boot, a perfectly weighted kick to Metcalf. Oh, he's handballed everything today, Metcalf, to bring his younger players into the game. To Richard Palfreman. Goes long to McGregor. There's a bit of shepherding there too, and the umpires picked it out. Wish Wilson's having a chat to Smokey Dawson, but Smokey's having nothing to do with that. He says this could be goal number 8 for McGregor. But he's certainly lost a bit of mobility, hasn't he, since he's had that injury to his leg?
I'd agree with you, Jim. He's lost the mobility, and I think the Sandy Bay side have lost that knack of being able to get the ball down there quickly. You saw the kick come in. It was just a big bomb, and had the free kick not gone McGregor's way, it was certainly a mark to Ian Coffey. And that's been the difference in their play from the way they started this game. The first 35 to 50 minutes worth of play, they really were slick at moving the ball down. Here's that big bomb coming in, and quite good play in my mind from Darwish Wilson, and Michael McGregor, a very lucky man to have that 8th goal next to his name, because all he was doing was positioning. If he had his arms out, yes, it would have been a free kick for shepherding, but he wasn't. He was just using his body to keep McGregor at bay so that Ian Coffey could take the mark.
24 points the difference, and Sandy Bay stay in touch. But the Burnie Hawks threatening here. Comes out towards Rollings, who loves a bit of a run, and he might have a bit of a bounce. He does. Heads in towards full forward. Ooh, leg break. Almost worked a big Tommy Honner's advantage, but he couldn't control the footy. So another behind of the Burnie Hawks. 15-13 to 12-6. We're 23 minutes into the third quarter. And the Hawks in control here at Queenborough. But the Bay not without a chance. Now the mark here has been taken by Polframan. Richard Polframan. In towards the middle of the ground. Nigel Polframan. Wilson to centre half forward. All the Sandy Bay here. Metcalf missed the mark. They charge out of defence, the Hawks. Coleman's volleyball spike works towards David Russell. Russell to Weller. And over here towards Coffey. Coffey, big long bomb. All the numbers with Sandy Bay, but the Burnie Hawks are getting back there quickly. Becker with Honor in hot pursuit. Becker kicks it quickly and finds his teammate here in David Fagan.
Fagan just going back and surveying what's waiting for him up on the half-forward line. Punch down to the favour there of Russell. Russell been a fair player since coming on. Got a bit of a push. Boundary line loomed up. Be a throw in. Sandy Bay would love a goal though before three-quarter time. We're just about into the time-on period. 12-7 playing 15-13. So 79 playing 103. Burnie in the lead. Oh, good shepherding then from Devon Udo. Allowed Polframan, Nigel Polframan, to run onto the footy. Kicks well towards Strong. The big fellow's got some pace. Centres the ball as well. Has a shot for goal. Wish Wilson running full bore into the fence. It was quite happy that it went through for the minor score. 12-8 Sandy Bay now. Wish Wilson all alone in there in that 10-metre square. He's got the glasses upfield. Where will I kick it to?
He goes straight up the middle. Good long kick. Attacking play might work for Burnie here. Grant Jackson, free kick. Must be a free kick against David Fagan, who thinks that the umpire was less than right in making that decision. Jackson gives the ball away, and Sandy Bay take it out of defence. Metcalf hesitated a little bit. Chippy little kick around the corner, didn't travel too far. Hills gets a shove in the back, looking for the free kick, won't get it. Jackson, fortunate kick, finds Benny. Running past him is Weller. High, long kick. Not exactly what the doctor ordered for Guy Gray, who's lurking here. He's kicked 4 goals now, Guy Gray. Tom Honor comes out. Players feeding off him. Weller in towards the open goal. Has kicked it. Very important kick, that one for Burnie. Excellent play from Tom Honor, and Weller finished off pretty well.
Well, Sandy Bay really are in trouble. They've kicked 2 goals since the 20-minute mark of the second quarter, and really are struggling to find any system up forward, whereas the Burnie Hawks, big man in the picture there, has been a focal point. He's mobile, McGregor's not, and of course he's got Guy Gray next to him, the man in the picture there, who's providing another focal point. But good play. They worked the ball down the ground quite well. Little or no pressure being applied by the Sandy Bay midfielders, who really didn't chase down hard enough.
The bounce down from umpire Griggs. Coffey tried to take it. Wiggins wanting to run right through them and gives a free kick away. That's to Bourne. Alistair Bourne. There's always been a Bourne in the Burnie lineup since the introduction of statewide footy. Strong mark taken by Coleman. Handballs to Metcalf. He handballs to Nigel Polframan, puts him under plenty of pressure. Burnell weaves his way clear. But all Burnie Hawks. Well, it was just too easy for them then, as the mark's taken by Satori. Satori out wide. He's looking for Heath, but Gray Coleman's in the way. Will he handball? He does, finally, to Wilson. Wilson can, in turn, thread it over to Merton. Merton now on the left boot, kicks long, but who to? Well, the kicking's poor into the forward line. Coffey steps inside and takes the mark.
And Coffey, as Chizza said earlier in the game, was draining, but he's okay now. Wiggins. Oh, beautifully stolen away by Atkins. Great play from Paul Atkins. Short little kick is a ripper to Honor. And Burnie looking good.
Well, they are looking good, Rob, simply because they're working much harder than Sandy Bay. Sandy Bay players seem to have really gone back into the style of yesteryear, really stop-start football. and really getting no reward for any contest they make on the ball, and that is a big let-off with that easy shot at goal missed by Tom Honor. Bad miss, Wilkie.
Not a good miss, because really that just about would have sewn it up, wouldn't it?
Well, great play by Atkins too. Let's not take any credit away from the way he's really lifted this side since particularly in that second quarter where he had 10 kicks for the quarter. He's been the catalyst, and that smother off the boot, the spin out of trouble, the bounce, the steady, the pass to Honor. Terrific football.
Becker out to the half-forward line. Wiggins trying to thread the ball out to Fagan. It didn't work, and Benny runs away with the ball, but the whistle is blown. Umpire Griggs seems to get on pretty well with the players, Rob Waters, having a bit of a chat to them and a smile as he goes back. I suppose you don't have to make some hard decisions, or when you do, you can always refer back to the smile. Coffey again. He's been a fine player in the ruck. Polferman, quick hands to Fagan, across to Merton. Merton having a run. I wondered who he was going to. He went straight to a Burnie Hawk backman in Russell. The kick down to the half-forward line. Wiggins high. Burnell, can he bring it in and keep it in? Atkins, like a shark, isn't he? Lurking dangerously. Handball over to Benny. Benny in turn centres it towards Giles. There's the siren. And at three-quarter time, Sandy Bay 12-8-80. Wouldn't be too happy with that quarter. They only kicked 2 goals too. And the Burnie Hawks 16-14, 110. Their personal tally for the quarter was 4 goals, 5. So Burnie Hawks controlled that quarter as they did the second quarter. And they're going into three-quarter time 30 points clear.
In a couple of minutes.
9 to 14-13, while at the MCG, North Melbourne have a healthy lead over Melbourne, 14-13-97.
Ahead of them, Gary?
Well, they've only kicked 2 goals in 50 minutes of football, and I think that says it all about the way their attack has fallen down since Michael McGregor received that injury in the second quarter. He's kicked 8, got a free kick goal in that third quarter, but really they don't have too many other. Lee Heath in the screen looks like a nasty injury to the eye. Let's hope it's just a precautionary measure and putting the patch over the eye. One would have thought that if something's wrong with one eye, you'd patch up the other one. So that I think that's the medical process, Rob Waters. There are the goal kickers. McGregor with 8. But you can see how evenly they've been distributed around the Burnie Hawks players.
Peter Chisnell's been out listening to both coaches' three-quarter time addresses. What did they have to say, Peter?
I'll just try another, got to try another little piece here, guys. Yeah, actually, Lee Heath copped a finger in the eye, and he's got a rather large patch on his eye at the moment, but I think he should be okay. The doctors looked at that. But the big fella, Michael Schulze, has asked the Burnie Hawks to really come down here and show these people in the south, he said, that we've got something going for us. And he's really called on them to show a bit of character down here. So they're going to come out all guns firing. Chris Fagan's gone the other way. He said, let's start kicking the ball long. You're chipping the ball short. Let's start kicking the ball long. And I think that you'll see the Sandy Bay side, if they don't kick the ball long this time, I think there's going to be some moves from the bench. So pretty exciting quarter of football coming up, I think. Both sides looking for a win.
And Gary, you've got some statistics which might give us an indication as to who's been playing well.
Well, Atkins certainly has been one of the dominant players since midway through that second quarter. 24 possessions. Taylor's had 18. Giles, a very good quarter in that third quarter, 15 for Sandy Bay. Metcalf, 12 hand passes and 9 kicks, 21 possessions. Nigel Polferman, 21. They'd like to get a little bit more from both of those in this last 30 minutes of football. And the player that I've liked today is Richard Polferman at centre-half forward. He's had 15 kicks, 9 marks and 3 hand passes. A very workmanlike process there. You see Big Scott Strong off the ground. Hasn't done a lot all day. McGregor's had 13 kicks, and another player in that quarter who did quite well was Gray Coleman, who's ended up with 19 possessions.
There's the scoreline at three-quarter time, 110 playing 80. Opening of the last quarter. Coffey against Wiggins. Coffey gets it on the second bite of the cherry. Down in the Honor direction. Going high was Becker. Becker's been a good player for them. To add to his possessions, Atkins. Handballs. Not a bad one either. Handball over to Satori. Satori down to full forward. Jackson, can he thread one through? He goes short to Tom Honor. The big fellow dribbles it onto his right boot. Minor score. So he's kicked 3 behinds today, has Tom Honor, but he's also got 2 goals beside his name. In fact, 4 behinds. 2 goals, 4 to the big fellow in your screen. Gray Coleman to take the kick in for Sandy Bay.
And Guy Gray, the other focal point up there, has kicked 4 goals for. So the situation could be a bit worse from a Sandy Bay point of view if they'd had their kicking boots on. Rawlings takes the mark. Heads for home, has a shot. And misses again to the right. So Burnie peppering away here.
Played quite a good game, young Darren Rawlings. Has been in lots of the action. He's grabbed the ball, he's run with the ball, and that really has been one of the differences in the two sides. The Burnie Hawks players have been prepared to run and carry the ball forward. Sandy Bay have been left flat-footed from that 20-minute mark of the second quarter. That's when it all fell apart.
It's been surprising, though, hasn't it? Because the Bay were doing just that in the first quarter and a half. Here's their runners. One of them was Viney. Viney has a shot. Can it be third time lucky? Big kick from Viney. Honor just clapping it through. And no doubt about the result of that. Have a look at Viney. Number 21 on your screen. Running back into the centre of the position. You get a bit of spring in the step when you kick one of those. Paul Viney. He's had about 25s, and this is how he did it.
Yeah, well, he really just sized up the situation. There wasn't much to pass to, so they bombed it long to the goal square. Honor did the rest and shepherding it through. But really, for a half-back flanker to kick a goal is a big boost to a team, and just gives you an example of the amount of running that they're prepared to do. And really, they're going to run away with this game and kick a cricket score, in my mind.
And here's Atkins. He's been tremendous all day. Benny's been very handy as well, although he spent the footy before he got it on that occasion. Goes back and gets it again. Well done, Robert Benny, and earns himself the free kick. Advantage rule paid. And here comes Taylor. Nick Taylor, a couple of bounces, then in towards full forward. Jackson's the best bet for the Burnie Hawks on this occasion. Doesn't get there. Russell on the left foot, little chip over the top towards Guy Gray. Oh, this might bounce through for a goal. No, it doesn't. Another behind to Burnie, who are doing all the attacking. And Sandy Bay, really since about the 20-minute mark of the second quarter, have been overrun here by a very impressive Burnie.
Kick out, long kick too, looking for Wiggins as Nigel Palfreman's getting his thigh strapped. Kick comes from Devon Udo to centre half forward. Giles back on the ground. Peter Giles just giving the nod to McGregor. Didn't work though. Kick a bad one, and in there was Bourne. Been a good player too for the Burnie Hawks as Alistair Bourne. His kick is a good one to Scott Walker. Walker feeds it off then to Satori. Satori, plenty of chance to have a look upfield. Oh, good use of the body by Weller. Handball not good. Burberry to Merton. Two Sandy Bay players. Wilson's the player that picks it up for them. Here goes Nigel Palfreman. He's got to do battle against three Hawks. And quick hands then from Atkins. Palfreman again. They're diving on the football. A bad play then from the Burnie Hawks. They don't want to let the Bay get back into the game, so they just bottle it up then, and we'll see a ball up.
Just not enough Sandy Bay players winning possessions around this midfield area of the ground. The Burnie Hawks have really controlled that from that 20-minute mark of the second quarter.
Sandy Bay slightly into attack here, but it's taken away by Burnie. Jackson out towards Robert Benny, who hand passes it further afield towards his teammate here in Travis Dick. Dick heads for home and puts it through. Good kick from Travis Dick. And the Burnie Hawks have kicked the 2 goals of this final quarter and are racing away. And Gary, you're predicting a cricket score?
Well, I am, because they just seem to be doing so much more in the work department. But great courage shown by Travis Dick to receive the hand pass first of all. I wasn't so much impressed by the kick. It wobbled off the boot. It was just the amount of courage that he showed to really take the hand pass, get through the heavy traffic and steady and kick for goal. But they really are putting the score together, simply because they've got good system now. Earlier in the day, that first 50 minutes of play, they didn't have that same system.
Wiggins once again against Coffey. Wiggins one out. Short kick to David Fagan. He's got to move it quickly. The kick is a good one out in the direction of McGregor. McGregor against Wish Wilson. The ball beating them all. Metcalf goes over the back. He's got to get the free kick as well. Wish Wilson said he had his hands in the air, but he also had his knees in the back of number 3 for Sandy Bay. And that's why he's got the free kick.
He's a rugged player, isn't he?
Any tougher in rust, as the saying goes. This player, though, has been a good one for Sandy Bay. He's had a lot of possessions. 21. This is about his 22nd, 23rd possession. Kick for goal. Not a bad one either by Metcalf. It's a goal. Can that spur the Bay? They're seven and a bit goals down. They need a lot more of those, Davo.
Well, they do, and as I've called before, McGregor has been a bit of a disappointment since the injury. Not his fault entirely, but they really haven't changed their forward setup to give them an opportunity to make use of the ball when it has been won around the midfield. And on that occasion, Metcalf was able to finish off, but they'd be looking for the taller players, the bigger players, to take the marks and really spark this Sandy Bay forward line into life.
39 points the difference now, and the big lead to Burnie. Sandy Bay need to get a bit of a hurry on here. Satori holds them up though. Back to centre half forward. Benny outnumbered there. And a taller marking player in Robert Newton, who's been a good player today, takes the mark. Takes the short row home, straight up the middle. Thumped down the ground though, towards David Russell. Took his time, got it out to a teammate, but the kick wasn't very good. They all overrun it. Wilson to Coleman. And Coleman kicks it towards centre half forward. And the mark here to Peter Giles, the ex-Melbourne player, in towards full forward, looking for McGregor, who's kicked 8. And McGregor's going to get a free kick off the ground. Polkerman is a goal. It's going to Darwish Wilson, going the other way. Well, Wish Wilson with the torp attempt. It wasn't a very good one, and Wiggins has taken the mark at centre half forward. I'm getting disbelieving looks here in the commentary box that have criticised the torp. Now Jeff Wiggins with the drop punt. Long bomb in towards full forward. McGregor's got to do the marking there. He really looks unfit, McGregor, but because they've got injury problems, he's got to stay out there. He also kicked 8 in the first half. Wish Wilson. Eyes on the ball. Oh, wants to go and tackle him, and he kicks it up towards the centre of the ground.
Atkins gives the ball back to Coffey. Coffey plays on to Russell. They've all been contributors, those players, in that passage of play. So too is Taylor as he kicks long in the grey direction. Big punch, though, from Sandy Bay. Burberry just letting the ball go over the line. Fine punch then from Raymond Becker, who's been a good backline player for the Bay all day. Wiggins gets front position. Weller wrestles the ball from him. Sandy Bay, there's 3 players there, trying to get it out to Newton. Merton gets a handball long. Good tackle then, though, by Benny. Fagan finally for Sandy Bay. Coleman lets it go through his hands, recovers well to the running Becker. Becker from the half-back line. Handballs to Metcalf. Sandy Bay's biggest possession winner, kicks long but doesn't kick well enough. Johnson takes the mark, and he's been a good player, Gary, hasn't he, today?
He's done a lot of the ruck work against Wiggins while Coffey has been dropping back to that half-back line, and a very good contributor for them.
Oh, Newton, another mark in front of David Giles. Gee, that's been a good duel. And Robert Newton enjoying himself at centre half back. The ball's been down there a bit. The Hawks getting numbers at the ball. Walker, well tackled though by Hills, and they lose it. Comes to Poltham and throws the ball away. And that will be a Burnie Hawks free kick. Here's David Giles. Out towards Guy Gray, but he can't beat the boundary line. It was a tremendous game for a half, wasn't it? Third quarter, Burnie wore down Sandy Bay. And they're continuing to do so in the final quarter. Robert Benny, slick hand pass out towards Russell. And he finds Travis Dick, who's kicked 2 goals. Kicked a great goal early in this final quarter. Goes in short and finds Robert Benny. Well, he took his time, waited for the lead, and it came from Benny. He'll go short as well. So things really breaking down now for Sandy Bay, and it's becoming a little easy for Burnie.
It's poor play by them, isn't it? 2 players just all alone on the forward line for Burnie, and the Bays just seem to have lacked a bit of concentration. They might have put up the shutters saying, well, today's over. Burnie has won this one, but there's still about 20 minutes to go in the game, so in this day and age, anything could happen. Minor score to Russell. So 126 playing 86.
Quite often what happens in situations like this, and this I see it happening with the Bay players, a lot of them are looking at self-preservation, looking after their spot, making certain that they're going to be in the side next week. And that's why they're looking very selfish in some of the instances of play that we've seen in the last 10 minutes of footy.
Big kick from Becker, and unfortunately Rawlings, for Rawlings anyway, he touched it just prior to it going over the line. If he had have let it go, the man just wiped his snout, then would have got a free kick.
Just off screen, it looks like Justin Metcalf is coming off the ground with some injury, and Scott Strong is warming up on the sideline. So it's an injury-riddled Sandy Bay lineup, and a very dispirited group out there at the moment.
And Chizza's down there on the boundary line. Chizza, Metcalf coming off, which is not a good omen for the Bay.
Not a good sign at all, Jim, but it hasn't been without, Burnie Hawks hasn't been without injury either. Lee Heath has gone to the doctors, to the hospital. He's gone up there now to have a report on that eye. And also one of the other guys has also got a knee problem. Scotty Webster's got a knee problem. So without getting out of problems themselves, the Burnie Hawks, they've got some worries.
Jackson didn't have many worries in taking that mark, just so easy. And doesn't he love just bouncing the ball in one hand after he takes the mark like his brother Kent?
Well, it's very, very confident. He's 55 metres out from goal and he's gone back, turned his back on the play. He's going to have a ping at it.
It's the drop punt kick. It's going to fall just short and just wide. Minor score.
Perhaps too much confidence on that occasion. Perhaps there was somebody in the goal square. Had he walked backwards, got the ball in quickly, Burnie Hawks may have had a better result than that lazy old shot at goal from Mr. Jackson.
41 points the difference. Comments from Gary Davidson here at Queenborough. Burnie in control. Jackson will get another chance here. Again, he turns his back. Takes his time. Of course, his brother Kent, who used to play with Clarence, is now playing in the South Australian League. Been hearing how he's been going?
Haven't heard a thing, Rob, but he'll be a good player over there. He had played some very fine games here last year before leaving.
Okay, so on the half-forward line of Burnie, Wiggins wins the ruck tap. And here's Jackson. He's like the Jackson 5, isn't he? All over the place. Now, at centre-half forward, it comes to Atkins. Atkins gets himself in a little bit of a mess. It's all a bit messy and sloppy here as Wiggins tries to barge through. There's a fight going on behind players there. Atkins and Coleman. Here's Burnell. Hope he can clear it out of that messy situation. We're in towards the centre of the ground now. Richard Polton has been a good player today. Good creative hand pass to Burberry. And McGregor on the lead. He won't get there. Oh, collision of bodies there. One player's down for Burnie. I think it's Scott Walker. And McGregor doesn't look too flash either. Walker is hurt. They're all falling over here. Poor old Peter Giles was hurt.
Oh, like a game of Skittles, isn't it? They're all down.
Well, the collision of McGregor and Johnson, there you can see Johnson on the ground, was a very, very heavy collision. Johnson was running with a flight of the ball and he copped it in the head, in the back. Doesn't look too flash at all.
Like an arm or something with Johnson. I can correctly call him Walker.
Giles, about 60 metres from goal. Kicks to the 10-metre square. In front, Sandy Bay. And Devon Udo takes an easy mark. They've got to salvage something from this game. As coming off now is Johnson, which well, it appears he's done something to his wrist. Hanging limply from his side as Devon Udo kicks for goal. A goal to Sandy Bay. They need a lot more of those, and you'd have to be a super optimist to see them get back into this game as Devon Udo just goes back into his position. But the wrist doesn't look too good, Davo.
Yeah, probably looks like a forearm, elbow forearm. By the looks of it, very unfortunate because this young man's played quite a good game today, and a huge blow. That's about 6 injuries in the one game. It's quite amazing. Perhaps it might be the size of the ground that's compacting the players together for all those collisions.
Tommy Honor back there in the back pocket too, Rob Waters.
Well, we'll keep an eye on Big Tom as Simon Hills goes in short, looking for McGregor, who really has been beaten by Darwish Wilson, but McGregor has been injured after his fantastic first half of footy. Sandy Bay got the last goal. Really haven't been able to put 2 or 3 together for a while, and Burnie take it away. Viney in towards Coffey. He goes back towards Viney. Good shepherd then from Russell. Viney out wide. A little Robert Benny, who's worked very hard again today. Benny picks it up now. And in towards the pocket, picks out Darren Weller. They took it a bit too easily out of defence for mine. And Weller, who kicked a great goal in the third quarter now. Centering kick, bit of a wobbly old one. Wiggins claiming the mark. It was touched before he got to it. And we'll have a bounce. Down to Peter Chisnell on the boundary line.
Yeah, most unfortunate. Young Johnson appears as he's broken his arm, lad. So a bad one down here at the moment. Unlucky for the kid. Number 11 played a very good game, and looks like he's finished with a broken arm. So unfortunate for the lad.
Yeah, tragedy when something like that happens to a young fella, especially when he was playing so well. But the Burnie Hawks, at the end of it, I think, after they mop up, they'll still be pretty pleased with today's effort because they came back well in that second quarter when they were about 23 points down. And they've turned that deficit into a pretty big victory margin, I'd say, by the end of the day. Wiggins flying high. The Hawks again. Chance for Giles. He's been clever on the half-forward line. He's getting some assistance there from Taylor. He's Clarence' teammate last year. Now he's Burnie teammate.
I think the thing that would please Michael Schulze is that this side has been able to string at this stage in the game 18 goals after following up from the 24 they kicked last week. So they're obviously looking at playing a free-flowing attacking game of football, and they've done it pretty well here on this smaller Queenborough Oval.
And they've done it without Michael Schulze or Grant Williams.
Taylor goes over his head. Jackson's the only one that keeps his eyes on the football, and that's the result. It's his second mark of the day. Make that mark number 3. Can he kick a goal? He thinks he can. He's going back now after having a couple of false starts. Pulls the socks up.
He's kicking into a breeze here, and I'll be very surprised if he does make the goal square.
Well, he pulled the socks up, then pulled them down again. Kicking for goal. Doesn't make the goal square. Harry Davidson predicted it. Down in front, though, is a couple of Burnie Hawks. Russell gets the handball out to Benny. Oh, quick hands back to Russell. A lot of tackling down there. Burnill's doing a lot of heavy work. Here he is now with the footy. Loses it. Out comes Giles again. Now Burnill again coming back onto it. You can't keep him away. Big punt kick marked by Tom Honor. Backman, or forward come Backman. The handball was too quick for Wish Wilson. Honor back onto it. Wish Wilson turns on a threepence. Back to Bourne, and again the Burnie Hawks get it away easily from the back line.
And here's Grant Jackson, who's had a busy final quarter. Out towards Nick Taylor, who's been a good goal scorer for them today. He's kicked 4. Taylor in towards the forward pocket. Coffey a chance here. Pressure from Becker. Comes back to Jackson. Clever little spin. Jackson on the boundary line. Centering kick. Oh, look at that. It's a shame to see that. There's that player limping out there. Shouldn't even be on the field, but because there's only 2 interchange players. Who was that? Scott Webster.
And Scott Strong, the man playing on him, has been off the ground too. We suspect he was injured. It's a walking wounded.
Be good if both coaches got together and just dragged them both off the field. Played 17 men. What about the 3 interchange? Do we need it?
Well, today you certainly need more than 3. You probably need the 4.
All right, Wiggins at half back towards half forward. So both teams only have about 16 or 17 fit men out there at the moment.
There's one player that you saw on your screen there. Well, there's the injured sitting on the bench there. There's Watterson, Metcalf. We haven't seen the Burnie bench.
Tap down coming to Nigel Pulverman. He's got his leg strapped as well. Handball to Fagan. Fagan through centre half forward. Was looking for McGregor, who's a bit slow on it now with that wonky leg of his. And away goes Rawlings. He's not slow. Have a look at him. Bounce number 2. He can do it again. He does. 4. He kicks now. Kicks short and kicks truly to Gray. And what a fine effort then from Rawlings. If the crowd was here from Burnie, they'd love it. No doubt they're loving it on their TV screen, and they'd be equally pleased with that. Robert Benny takes the mark, and last week he played a crackerjack game. Today he's also been workmanlike, and he's going to have a shot for goal. Schulze would be really enjoying this. Kick number 10. The kick from Benny, the wind holding it up. Fairly difficult conditions out there now. And Sandy Bay coming clear through Becker. Just about Sandy Bay's best. He'd be in their top 6. Kicks to centre half back.
And finds Wiggins. Wiggins now to centre half forward. Giles makes a contest of it. Honor steals it away from him though. They look a bit stronger too now, Burnie. And Honor shows off his skills by kicking it to Taylor, and he keeps on going, Big Tom. Good football in towards Sky Gray. Will get a free kick. So Honor showing his versatility.
And off screen, he dashed back to take up his position in that back pocket, and probably thankful that Peter Giles is carrying an injury and wasn't able to chase him down the ground. But fairly indicative of the way that the defence has played from that second quarter on. They've really charged down the ground and set up opportunities for this man on your screen.
So Guy Gray kicks another one for the Burnie Hawks. You can see the wind take that. He had to start it out to the left goal post. But a good kick from Guy Gray, who's now kicked 5 goals. And coupled with Honor up there, he's been part of a pretty potent forward line.
And don't forget the 4 goals that Nick Taylor kicked too, particularly those 3 in the second quarter that set him going in the last 10 minutes of that quarter. But he's been a focal point. He's led well, sometimes led too wide for the small ground, but he's got 5 goals next to his name, and he'd be very pleased. And you can see that they've got a number of goal kickers up front.
14 possessions today for Guy Gray.
The Bay trying to come down into their forward line. They can't through Coffey. Play on's the call. Advantage play. Newton, arguably Sandy Bay's best. Kicks down to McGregor. Can it be goal number 9? It is. And you can see him just very gingerly walk into that goal, but that's goal number 9. And after a super first quarter where he kicked 5 goals, he's also put another 4 to that tally. So 9's not a bad effort for the day, Gary Davidson.
Yes, and the man that kicked the ball down the ground too had a very fine day. Robert Newton. Giles couldn't take the mark. McGregor did the crumbing, and he kicked 7 up to the 20-minute mark of the second quarter, McGregor, when they were really on fire. He got a free kick in the third quarter, and he crumbed that one very nicely. So he's had a major contribution, 9 goals out of the very small total of 15 goals.
And Sandy Bay move forward again. Oh, great effort from Darwish Wilson. Giles goes over the top towards McGregor. Can he kick number 10? Screws it around. It's close. Not close enough. Could have hand passed.
Could have hand passed. Nigel Palfrey was sitting there by himself then, Davo.
Yes,
you get the runner out.
I think he was going for the big number 10 more so than looking for that hand pass over the top that Jim was talking about.
Probably wanting to sell up the game next week.
Paul Atkins. Just about 30 possessions from Atkins. He's been everywhere. So is this fella, Robert Newton, Rock of Gibraltar at centre-half back. You've never heard that cliche used before, have you? Coffey. Down to Weller. He can't do much with it. Scrambly play. Comes out to Wilson. Wilson looks upfield and kicks towards McGregor. Over the back. Here comes Nigel Palfrey this time. Soccer style. The ball still not bouncing through. Hits the behind post. And out of bounds as Tom Honor was about to take off. And there's Johnson. Unfortunately, his arm has seen better days.
Here's McGregor. Has a snap at goal. It's close. I think that's number 10. Touched. Bit of theatrics then from the goal umpires. And he had his moment of glory then. Good effort, though, from McGregor. Certainly went through for a goal. And look at this. Johnson straight across the ground.
Taking the shortcut, I think, Rob. Yes, you feel sorry for the young man. Played a fine game today, and to finish it that way is a bit of blow. But he can rest easy in the fact that at least his team's going to put their second win on the board, 2 out of 2.
24 minutes gone now, Jim. So this will delay things up a little bit.
Big huddle of players in the centre as...
Well, I think they've taken the opportunity while the stretch is going across the ground to get everybody together to try and set up some sort of kick-off huddle, because the Sandy Bay players in Palfreman, Giles and Burnell and David Fagan have set up a zone to chop off any short passes that Darwish Wilson will ping out to any one of the people that break from this huddle.
Well, there they are, like fish around the bait, aren't they? Who's going to strike first?
I wouldn't mind betting it's the long-haired fellow there in the middle of the picture, number 1.
So players just really huddling there in the middle of the ground. There they go to all 4 corners. Scattered. The ball goes off the side of the boot, though, and Adam Palfreman takes a good mark.
Too clever by half.
Yeah, all plans can come unstuck, and that was a perfect example of it. Adam Palfreman elects the drop punt kick, kicking with the wind. Not a bad shot for goal. Super kick from him. A clever kick because he used the wind. He kicked the ball high, and he's kicked his 3rd. And the Bay haven't gone out without a bleat, Davo.
No, at least they've hung in there. Whether they're coming back or whether the Burnie Hawks have eased the pedal off a little bit, I'm not quite certain. But they've strung a couple together. A good mark by young Palfreman. Kick 3 for the day, I suppose, for a young player playing out of a forward pocket, half-forward flank. That's what his role would be, to kick some goals. Hasn't done anything more than that, but certainly would learn from the experience of playing a fairly tough competitive side from the Burnie Hawks.
Sandy Bay also kicking with quite a strong breeze now, down to right of screen. That was a good kick from Palfreman. Here's Atkins. Little chip pass. Here's a beauty. Oh, a clever kick then from Atkins. And Guy Gray. Probably too far out to score, is he? No, he's not. And Webster in front, hobbles in and takes the mark.
Well, he was in the front position, and of course they were kicking into this breeze. It's just come up here at the Queenborough Oval, and the ball held up long enough for him to be able to just hobble towards it, take the chest mark, and then finish it off with a tidy goal.
So Scott Webster, he's made his name at the other end at fullback. Just enjoyed that, I think. That's his first goal. His first kick.
You can see him get the front position. The ball was held up in the wind, and Scott Strong just couldn't get the arm around to punch the ball away. And so that's their 20th goal. I suppose Michael Schulze would be asking them to really put the pedal down again to see if they can beat their 24 goals that they kicked last week against South Launceston.
4 goals apiece to each team in this last quarter. Ian Coffey's strength tried to get through the pack. It didn't win out, though. Wilson out to Devenuto. Divers the call, and he kicks long. Going to be goal number 10 for McGregor. 2 players cannon into him again. Wish Wilson gets up with the footy. Chance for Devenuto, who followed his kick down well. Long handball, trying to find Giles, but Tom Honor, the forward, come back, and he's enjoying the stint on the back line. Handballs it across then to Walker. That's Scott Walker. The ball palmed down to Burnell. Over to Coleman. Gray Coleman can go short to Hills. Hills can run. He does just that through centre half forward. Now kicks long. The goal umpire's not moving. The people behind the goal say that's another one. And the Bay starting to come home pretty well. 17-9 now to 2019. And there's the player that kicked the goal, Simon Hills, jogging back, and this is how he did it. Running into that open goal. He used plenty of pace then, Davo, to kick his first goal of the day, and the Bay's 17th.
Well, he's been a very competitive player since coming off the interchange bench. Doesn't have a great deal of skill, but he's always going to be in there trying. Got plenty of pace, a very good tackler, very competitive at ground level, and that was a just reward for some very hard work that he's put in.
Good fighting effort this from Sandy Bay, as they haven't stopped trying. And while they'll lose the game, the coach and the club can take some heart that they've fought it right out to the end. Here's David Fagan now, has a teammate on his own, and that's Richard Polferman. McGregor's making a lead, screaming, pleading for the ball, wanting to kick his 10th. But Richard Polferman, with the wind behind his back, would be a good chance to make the distance here. They might get there, and it just goes over the line, the one behind.
Been a pretty handy player at centre half forward and half forward today, Richard Polferman. He's led well, he's taken some marks, he's picked up possessions. Hasn't been a major goal scorer by any stretch of the imagination. Only one next to his name, but certainly a focal point for them when they were winning the ball easily out of the middle of the ground.
Big kick, not much time left. 29 minutes gone in this quarter. Courtesy of Rob Walters' stopwatch. Free kick picked out. Rick Finley's stopwatch.
Rick's too happy with
Finlay's casebook, I'm sorry. He's having a bit of a sly grin out the side of his mouth. And Nigel Polferman about to have a shot for goal. The kick falling short. Bounce is going to be a clever one. Oh, it's all the Burnie Hawks. A flock of them down there. Tom Hodder then sizing up Giles. Sandy Bay were the ones that came into it. The handball picked up, though, by Bourne, and he just edged it over the line out of bounds. So this game really drawing to a pretty tame end, but it's been a good style of football. The first half really was worth watching.
Yes, there was some tremendous stuff in that first half, and while wrapping up Sandy Bay before, we must mention that Burnie will win this game, and they will have won it very well indeed. So they deserve all the plaudits as well. There was a fight on behind play between Giles and they're throwing them too. It's a bit nasty. And there's another one on the half-back line. Darwish Wilson's blissfully unaware of all that. He's going after the footy. As play continues. Now, where are we? Sand umpires, good umpiring, kept the game going. That should break up the fight. In towards full forward. Backing back there is Bourne. And he takes a very good mark.
Well, Giles certainly got a bit of blood coming from his eye, and this fella's got an egg on his eye. So the tribunal will be kept busy.
Any reports?
Well, I think there might be. To Atkins. Atkins in the centre of the ground goes short. Newton in the way. He's been a fine player for Sandy Bay. The play really has slowed down, though, hasn't it? About in second gear now as Atkins just cruises through the centre line. Kicks down to where Becker was in the way again for the Bay. The running Newton again. Is he going to get to the ball before the boundary line? They just both let it go over. There's the siren, and it's 4 premiership points to the Burnie Hawks. And they did it well after that first quarter and a half to run out victors 20-19-139 to Sandy Bay 17-10, 112. And there's Peter Giles with that tape over his left eye, Davo, and a bit of blood on his body.
Yes, it was a shame to see the game spoilt by that bit of fisticuffs towards the end, because it was a fine contest. See the V in the back of Mr. Jackson's haircut, obviously signalling that they were going to be victorious today, Jim.
Bit of cross-mowing there.
But the scoreline, as you can see, 39 shots to 28. They really ran away with it. They really initiated an onslaught onto the Sandy Bay scoreline in the last 10 minutes of the second quarter. The Sandy Bay side really didn't recover from that, and Burnie just went from strength to strength and really set up a very fine win, and they'd be very happy. They've had this bogey of coming to Hobart to play football games and win, but today they did it in fine style, and 2 games, 2 wins. A very good start to the season for them, Bob Waters.
Excellent start, and a vital win away from Burnie. They have been criticised for not having won at North Hobart, but I suppose there's the other side of that, that North Hobart and Hobart have been the 2 best teams in the competition since, well, certainly in the last 3 or 4 years anyway, with North Launceston. So, good win today for Burnie. Sandy Bay, I think, while losing, weren't disgraced at all, and I'm sure these 2 clubs will have a big say in who finishes in the final 5 in the end. And I think Peter Chisnell's grabbed Michael Schulze there, the captain coach of Burnie, who was missing today through a knee injury. So we'll go down to see or hear what Michael Schulze has to say. Down to you, Chizzo.
Yes, thanks, lads. Well, Mike, you called on the lads to show the people down south a new-look Burnie Hawks, and they certainly come out and did that for you.
Yeah, it was good today, mate. It was a 4-4 quarter effort today, which was very pleasing indeed, yeah.
A couple of unfortunate things. I thought you won well across the centre, led by Paul Atkins and young Johnson.
Yeah, Paul was very good after quarter time. I thought he started very slowly, but after quarter time he played very well indeed. Young Johnson has actually broken his arm, I think, so it's very unfortunate. He was
very unfortunate. Yeah, your injury to yourself, you'll be only 1 week away.
At this stage, hopefully, Peter, yes.
Yeah, so you've got two big wins on the board now, and looking further ahead, of course.
Oh, of course, yeah, it's good to start with 2 wins, especially with only 18 rounds, so it's given us a good launching pad now to see the rest of the season out now.
During the course of the game, you called on your players to kick the ball long. You thought they were going a little bit short, and they certainly did that after half-time.
Yes, I thought the first quarter went a bit short, which probably showed in the scoreboard too. The other team was playing very well. They were going more direct. They were getting the goals on the board, so I thought, once we started doing that, we played very well, I thought.
Well done, Mike, and you certainly showed the people down south exactly what you spoke about at half-time to your players about showing them new-look Hawks. Well done.
Thanks, buddy.
Good on you, mate.
Well done, Peter Chisnell, and thank Michael Schulze for us, Chizza, for being so kind as to give us his time. There you have the story of the day, Gary, and high-scoring match, particularly in the first half, and really Burnie dominated the second half.
Well, they did. Sandy Bay kicked something like 2 goals in 70 minutes.
10 marks, major possession winner for Sandy Bay was Burnell, 15 kicks, 5 marks and 5 handballs. And Metcalf also 11 kicks, but 12 handballs. So the